Hidden beneath Egypt's sun-covered desert lies a world of mysteries so profound even science struggles to unravel them. How did a civilization thousands of years ago achieve feats we still can't replicate? Giant stones perfectly aligned with the stars, massive structures built with unfathomable precision. What knowledge did they possess? The tombs of long-forgotten pharaohs, the cryptic hieroglyphs, and the whispers of forgotten technologies challenge everything we think we know about ancient history. But some secrets remain buried, waiting for answers. What is the true story of Egypt's rise and fall? Join us as we explore these unsolved riddles. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. As we continue our journey through the enigmatic history of ancient Egypt, we come to a tomb that, though not as widely known as those of the great pharaohs, holds within it an intriguing mystery, one that speaks to the very heart of Egypt's royal rituals. The tomb of Queen Tia, the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, was discovered in 1903 by the renowned archaeologist Theodore M. Davis, nestled in the Valley of the Kings. Yet what was unearthed within her tomb has continued to perplex scholars and ignite debate for over a century. This tomb, small in comparison to those of the pharaohs, is rich with unanswered questions and unexpected details that might reveal more about the role of women in the royal dynasties of Egypt. Queen Tia was one of the most influential women in ancient Egypt, a queen consort whose power and stature seemed to have reached far beyond the typical role of a pharaoh's wife. While little is known of her life, her presence at court is well documented. She was a strong political figure influential in both foreign and domestic affairs. Her tomb, however, offers us only a glimpse into the mystery of her final resting place. Unlike the tombs of the pharaohs, which are often grandiose and filled with elaborate treasures, the tomb of Queen Tia was relatively modest, though still impressive in its own right. The tomb itself, situated in a more secluded area of the Valley of the Kings, was carved into the rock, and unlike many of the royal tombs of the period, seems to have been undisturbed by robbers, an unusual fate for a tomb of such significance. Its walls were adorned with fresco and carvings depicting the Queen in scenes of divine interaction and royal ritual. But it is not just the art or the tomb's untouched condition that raises questions, it is what was missing, what remains unsaid in the tomb's design. Queen Tia's tomb is notably bereft of the lavish treasures that one might expect to find in the tomb of a powerful figure like her. No golden statues or intricate jewellery, no chariots or weapons of war. Instead, the tomb offers only a small collection of items, some pottery, a few symbolic artifacts, and the Queen's mummified remains. This stark contrast to the rich tombs of pharaohs leaves us wondering, was this a deliberate choice? Or was something more significant hidden away, perhaps lost to time? Perhaps most fascinating are the remains of Queen Tia herself. The mummified body found in the tomb showed signs of extreme preservation, which, while not unusual for royal mummies, seemed different in this case. The intricate rituals associated with embalming and preservation were carried out meticulously, yet the method of her preservation appears somewhat unorthodox. Was this an indication of something unique about her role or status? Perhaps even a clue to her death and the events surrounding her burial. Some have speculated that her embalming may have been part of an ancient secretive rite, one connected to the higher spiritual or political authority she wielded far beyond the ordinary role of a queen consort. Yet, it is not just her burial that has puzzled archaeologists. The wall carvings inside the tomb present further mysteries, particularly a series of unusual scenes that depict Queen Tia in ceremonial rituals and interactions with the gods. These images, though beautiful, do not follow the standard iconography typically seen in the tombs of royal figures. Instead of being shown in traditional poses or engaging in typical royal activities, Tia is depicted in a more intimate and sometimes enigmatic manner. In one carving, she's shown with her husband, Amenhotep III, in a scene that suggests a deep spiritual connection between the two, as if they are united not just by marriage, but by a divine bond. Another panel shows Tia in the presence of the gods, but in a manner that seems more personal and direct than what would normally be expected of royal depictions. What is most striking about these scenes, however, is the apparent lack of grandeur. There are no elaborate battles or victories, no grand processions or celebrations of power. Instead, the scenes seem to focus on quieter moments of reflection, devotion, and ritual. This has led some scholars to suggest that Tia's tomb and the depictions within it may reflect a spiritual journey that transcends her political role. Perhaps her tomb was meant to communicate something about her connection to the divine, something that was not meant to be shared with the public, but preserved for the afterlife. The absence of typical royal treasures has fueled speculation about the nature of Queen Tia's burial. Was she perhaps seen not just as a queen, but as a sacred figure whose death was marked by a more esoteric and personal form of ritual? Could her tomb have served as a place not only for her physical body, but for the preservation of some hidden knowledge or practice? One theory posits that Queen Tia's tomb may have contained sacred items tied to religious rites or ceremonial practices that were meant only for the highest echelons of Egyptian society. Could her tomb have held the key to an ancient, perhaps forgotten ritual or religious tradition? Adding to the mystery is the lack of clarity surrounding the events leading up to Tia's death. While it is known that she lived into the reign of her son Akhenaten, it is unclear whether her passing occurred before or after Akhenaten's religious revolution, which saw Egypt's traditional polytheistic beliefs replaced by the worship of the sun disk. Did Te, with her strong ties to Amenhotep III, play a role in this shift? Was her tomb designed to reflect her own beliefs, or did it serve as a last remnant of Egypt's traditional religious practices before the advent of Akhenaten's monotheistic revolution? One of the most fascinating elements of Tia's tomb is the possibility that it may have held symbolic items now lost to history that connected her to Egypt's ancient religious mysteries. Tia was closely involved in the political life of Egypt and had a significant influence on her son, Akhenaten. But did she also possess knowledge of Egypt's more arcane rituals? Some believe that Tia's tomb was not just a burial site, but a vault of esoteric knowledge, a place where rituals, secrets and beliefs were preserved for a royal family that straddled two worlds, the old and the new. Could the tomb of Queen Tia contain clues about a hidden religious movement or an ancient royal ritual that was quietly preserved despite the upheavals of her time? Was there a deeper, more mysterious connection between the queen and the divine that transcended her royal duties? Was her tomb perhaps an attempt to preserve knowledge that was not to be shared with the world, hidden from view for millennia? As we stand before the tomb of Queen Tia with its quiet, understated beauty and its deeply enigmatic carvings, we are left to wonder what was the the purpose of this tomb, and what secrets does it still hold? With so many questions remaining unanswered, the tomb of Queen Tia continues to captivate the imagination, inviting us to delve deeper into the mysteries of ancient Egypt and the role of its most powerful women. Deep within the Egyptian tombs, buried beneath layers of sand and time, lies a small yet profoundly significant artifact. The coffin of Amenhotep, a relic from Egypt's Middle Kingdom. This ornate, finely crafted coffin belonged to a ruler whose reign remains shrouded in obscurity, and whose tomb held an unexpected revelation. A cryptic text that would puzzle historians, archaeologists and linguists alike for centuries to come. The coffin itself is a masterpiece. Made of wood and gilded in gold, it exudes an aura of both regality and mystery. Inlaid with intricate hieroglyphs, it is a testament to the craftsmanship of its time, a luxurious resting place meant to house a king in the afterlife. But what sets this particular coffin apart from the others of its kind is not its physical beauty or historical significance, but the enigmatic texts inscribed upon it, texts that have baffled scholars for years. The hieroglyphs etched on the surface of Amenhotep's coffin are not merely a recounting of the ruler's achievements, his lineage, or his titles. Instead, they form a set of unusual, puzzling statements that do not correspond to any known formula or litany in ancient Egyptian religious texts. These writings found on the inner panels of the coffin have sparked debates about their meaning, their origin, and their purpose. What exactly were they meant to convey? And why do they stand apart from the standard inscriptions typically found in royal tombs? At first glance, the texts appear to follow the conventions of Egyptian early inscriptions. They recount the king's name and titles, a standard feature in burial practices meant to ensure the deceased's identity was preserved in the afterlife. But as scholars began to decode the hieroglyphs, it became apparent that something was different here. Some characters seem out of place, others don't correspond to known Egyptian words, and the overall structure of the text feels irregular. The more linguists and Egyptologists studied it, the more questions arose. Theories on the meaning of the text range from the mundane to the extraordinary. One widely accepted interpretation is that the inscription serves a spiritual or ritualistic purpose. Ancient Egyptians often believed in the power of words to transcend the physical world and ensure safe passage into the afterlife. Could the unusual hieroglyphs be a form of magical incantation designed to protect Amenemhat from the dangers of the afterlife? Perhaps they were intended to invoke the god's favour, ensuring that the king would be granted eternal life and protection. However, other scholars are not so sure. Some suggest that the text could represent a deeper, more esoteric form of knowledge, one that was perhaps hidden or lost over time. There are those who speculate that the strange hieroglyphs might be part of an unknown language or a forgotten script, potentially revealing secrets about Egypt's past that have been lost to history. Could these markings on the coffin be a form of writing that predated the more established forms of Egyptian script? Were they an early form of cryptography? Or perhaps a record of ancient knowledge suppressed or deliberately erased? Another theory posits that the text could be a coded message, one that was never meant to be fully understood. The Egyptians were known to encode meaning in their inscriptions, sometimes using cryptic phrases or symbols that required a special key to decipher. In this context, the coffin of Amenemhat could be seen as an encrypted artifact, a piece of ancient technology intended to hide or preserve knowledge, either from prying eyes or as a safeguard for the afterlife. Could this mysterious text be part of a broader tradition of secret writings used by Egypt's elite, passed down from one generation of pharaohs to the next? And then there's the more speculative theory, one that blends mythology with historical inquiry. Some believe that the inscription on Amenemhat's coffin may contain references to lost knowledge, not just of Egypt's past, but of the stars themselves. Could the strange markings be an astronomical record? A map of the heavens encoded in the language of the pharaohs? The Egyptians, after all, were deeply attuned to the movement of the stars, and many of their structures, including the pyramids, were aligned with celestial bodies. Might this text hold clues to a more profound understanding of the universe? One that was intentionally concealed perhaps for fear of its power? As intriguing as these theories are, they raise more questions than they answer. Who wrote the text and why? Was it the work of Amenemhat himself? Or could it have been added later by priests or scribes who wished to preserve certain teachings or rituals? If this text was meant to convey such profound knowledge, why was it hidden in a tomb away from public view? And why, after all these centuries, do we still struggle to understand its true meaning? Some believe that the answers to these questions lie just out of reach, that we are merely scratching the surface of a deeper, more intricate mystery. Others hold that the text, like so many other ancient writings, may remain forever enigmatic. Perhaps some mysteries are not meant to be solved, existing only to remind us of the limits of our understanding. As we continue to examine the coffin of Amenemhat with its strange, puzzling inscriptions, we are reminded that the past is never truly gone. It lives on, encoded in symbols and secrets waiting for us to decipher. But whether we will ever fully unlock the meaning behind the coffin of Eminem's texts remains uncertain. Perhaps in the end, the text itself is the answer. Its mystery is a testament to the complexity and wonder of ancient Egypt. As we continue our journey through the secrets of ancient Egypt, we move from the enigmatic coffin of Amenemhat to another remarkable discovery, one that has remained hidden in plain sight for centuries. Deep within the Nile Delta, beneath layers of time and earth, lies the lost Temple of Osiris, a site so significant it has the potential to rewrite our understanding of Egypt's ancient religious practices. The temple itself was first identified in the late 19th century, but it wasn't until more recent excavations that its true scale and purpose began to emerge. Sitting quietly on the banks of the Nile, the site offers little to hint at the grandeur that once was. Today, it appears almost unremarkable, a series of ruins scattered across the landscape, a faint echo of its former self. But beneath the surface, it holds secrets that have eluded scholars for over a millennium. The temple was dedicated to Osiris, one of Egypt's most important deities, the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and eternal life. For the ancient Egyptians, Osiris was central to their understanding of death and rebirth. His story, one of betrayal, death, and miraculous resurrection, was woven into the very fabric of Egyptian cosmology. But the discovery of his temple raises more questions than answers. Why was this sacred space so long forgotten? And why has it taken modern archaeologists so long to uncover its true importance? The Temple of Osiris was first mentioned in ancient texts, but it was believed to have been lost to history, buried beneath the shifting sands of the desert. The fact that it remained hidden for so long, despite being located so close to the great river that nourished Egypt's civilization, seems almost impossible. Yet, its rediscovery, albeit piecemeal and fragmented, has begun to shed light on some of the most profound mysteries surrounding Osiris and his role in the Egyptian religion. In the heart of the ruins, large stone blocks lie scattered on the ground, some with intricate carvings of Osiris, his arms outstretched in a welcoming gesture, others depicting scenes of ancient rites, rituals, and divine offerings. The size of these stones suggests the temple's grandiosity, and the craftsmanship of the carvings suggests a high degree of artistic sophistication. But among the more intriguing discoveries are the unusual symbols and inscriptions that adorn the walls of the temple, many of which do not appear in any known texts or religious manuscripts. Why would these symbols, so clearly important to the people of ancient Egypt, be absent from the records of the time? One possible explanation is that the Temple of Osiris was not just a place of worship, but also a center for the preservation of sacred knowledge. Knowledge that, for reasons unknown, was deliberately hidden. Ancient Egyptian temples were often more than just religious spaces. They were also repositories of esoteric wisdom passed down through generations of priests and scribes. Could it be that the Temple of Osiris was once a repository for teachings so sacred, so dangerous, that they were concealed from the public eye? The further we delve into the ruins, the stranger the discoveries become. One of the most startling finds was a series of chambers beneath the temple, thought to be a form of crypt or burial chamber. In these dark subterranean rooms, fragments of what appear to be ancient scrolls have been uncovered, pieces of papyrus inscribed with what seems to be an entirely different language, one not found in any known Egyptian texts. What could this cryptic language mean? And why was it hidden away in a sacred temple dedicated to Osiris? Some scholars believe that these scrolls might hold the key to understanding lost Egyptian rituals, perhaps even ancient practices associated with resurrection or immortality. The very idea that these rituals, once considered the domain of myth, may have had a more tangible practical purpose is a tantalizing one. Could it be that the ancient Egyptians had discovered something about the nature of life and death that modern science has only begun to scratch the surface of? Were the priests of Osiris capable of performing rites that went beyond the limits of human understanding? Yet others suggest that the temple's true purpose may have been more symbolic than we realize. The Egyptians were known for their complex systems of symbolism and allegory. It is possible that the Temple of Osiris was not a literal space for resurrecting the dead, but rather a metaphorical representation of the journey from death to rebirth. An idea that was central to Egyptian religious thought. The peculiar symbols and inscriptions found within the temple may be part of a larger cosmological narrative, one that reflects the cyclical nature of life, death, and the afterlife. If so, why was this story so carefully hidden from history? Another possibility is that the temple was associated with a more earthly power struggle. Osiris, as the god of the afterlife, was often linked with themes of kingship and succession. Could this temple have served as a political tool, a place where royal legitimacy was confirmed or contested? Was there a power struggle within the priesthood of Osiris, with factions vying for control of the sacred knowledge that was kept within these walls? This theory, though speculative, is intriguing, as it would explain why the temple and the knowledge it housed were so carefully guarded. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Temple of Osiris, however, is its very location. Situated on the banks of the Nile, the temple lies in an area known for its ancient links to the cult of Osiris. But why was it so hidden from view, and why did it remain lost for so long? Some have suggested that the temple may have been deliberately concealed, either to protect it from invaders, or to keep its secrets safe from the uninitiated. If the temple was indeed a center of esoteric knowledge, it stands to reason that those who built it may have gone to great lengths to ensure its protection. The mystery surrounding the Temple of Osiris is far from resolved. With each new excavation, more questions arise. Why were some of its most sacred elements hidden from view? What did the cryptic inscriptions and strange symbols really mean? And most importantly, what remains to be uncovered in the chambers that have yet to be explored? As we continue to explore the ruins of the Temple of Osiris, the shadows of Egypt's past seem to grow deeper. What might still be buried beneath the sands, waiting to reveal its secrets? Only time and further excavation will tell. As we leave behind the shadows of the Temple of Osiris and journey further into the heart of Egypt's enigmatic past, we are drawn to an object of unparalleled beauty and mystery, the Golden Mask of Susan. Unearthed in the early 20th century, this exquisite mask belonged to the pharaoh Susan, whose reign, while historically significant, remains somewhat overshadowed by the grandeur of other pharaohs like Tutankhamun and Ramses II. Yet this mask, gleaming with opulence and gold, would reveal not only the skill of Egypt's artisans, but also a mystery that has confounded archaeologists and historians ever since. The mask itself is a masterpiece of craftsmanship. Made of solid gold, it was carefully sculpted to resemble the face of the young pharaoh, capturing the serene expression of a ruler who was likely at the height of his power when he died. Inlaid with lapis, lazuli, turquoise, and other precious stones, the mask's deep, haunting eyes seem to peer into the very soul of the viewer. It radiates the quiet elegance that defined ancient Egyptian art, an object designed to ensure that the spirit of the deceased would be preserved in the afterlife. Yet, beneath the brilliance of the golden mask lies a question that lingers unanswered. What lies beneath? The mask was discovered inside the tomb of Susens in the Valley of the Kings, carefully placed over his mummified remains, a traditional practice meant to ensure the king's safe passage into the afterlife. But upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that the mask may not be as straightforward as it first appears. When the tomb of Pucenes was first excavated in 1939 by the French Egyptologist Pierre Montet, the discovery of the mask was groundbreaking. But it was not just the sheer beauty of the object that captivated the world. The mask was found in a condition so pristine that it seemed almost as though the tomb had been opened only recently. Yet, there was a strange contrast between the incredible preservation of the mask and the condition of the other artifacts within the tomb. While the golden mask was impeccably intact, many of the tomb's other contents, including statues, pottery, and even the pharaoh's other golden treasures, were found to have been damaged or looted. But it is not just the state of the tomb that raises questions. It is the history of the mask itself. According to some scholars, the mask was originally not intended for Susenes Thirun at all. One theory suggests that it may have been repurposed from an earlier tomb, possibly one belonging to a different ruler. The idea that a royal mask could have been recycled raises intriguing possibilities. Could there have been a hidden history behind the mask, a story of retail or shifting political power? Was this an act of preservation, or could it have been a symbolic gesture tied to the idea of continuity in the afterlife? This notion of repurposed relics is not entirely without precedent in ancient Egypt. Many tombs have been found to contain artifacts from earlier periods, reused or repurposed by later generations. The ancient Egyptians were highly resourceful, and it is possible that the mask was simply recycled to serve a new purpose. But the idea that such a significant item could have been repurposed raises more questions. Why would a royal artifact be recycled in this way? Was Susan's tomb perhaps not the original resting place for the mask, but a second or third burial site, one that had been altered or tampered with? Then there is the peculiar fact that Susan's tomb, despite its wealth of treasures, was found relatively undisturbed compared to other royal tombs in Egypt. Tutankhamun's tomb, for example, was famously plundered in antiquity. Yet, it still yielded a wealth of treasures when it was rediscovered in 1922. But the tomb of Susan's appeared to have been left largely untouched. Aside from the signs of looting that had occurred in earlier centuries, some have speculated that the tomb's location deep within the delta may have been deliberately hidden to avoid detection. Perhaps the treasures within Susanna's tomb, especially the golden mask, were never meant to be found. Could the tomb have been sealed for a reason? Was there something about the mask itself that made it too dangerous to expose? The mask's golden surface offers another intriguing clue. While gold was of course a common material used in royalty art, the technique used to craft the mask is unique. The level of detail and the use of such high-quality materials suggests a higher level of craftsmanship than even the most skilled artisans of the time might have achieved. Could this mask be a product of knowledge that was lost over time, a reflection of artistic techniques or methods that the ancient Egyptians themselves had forgotten? Or perhaps it is the mask itself sitting so perfectly preserved that serves as a link to a forgotten knowledge or hidden power? Could the beauty and mystery of the mask point to something deeper about the role of royalty objects in Egyptian cosmology? Some have even suggested that the mask could hold a symbolic function far beyond the realm of the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that the soul of the deceased needed to be preserved, but they also believed in the power of the physical body as a conduit for spiritual continuity. If the mask was intended to serve as a focal point for the king's spirit, could it be that the mask itself was imbued with properties that transcended mere symbolism? Was it perhaps a form of protection, or a magical artifact designed to shield Susan's soul from outside forces? As we contemplate the golden mask of Susan's, it becomes clear that it is not just an artifact of incredible beauty, but a key to a series of mysteries that have yet to be fully understood. Its craftsmanship, its origins, its role within the tomb. All of these aspects speak to a deeper story, one that might forever remain elusive. Was it truly the final resting place of a great king? Or is the mask itself a symbol of something greater, a mystery lost to time, waiting to be uncovered? As we continue our exploration of the treasures and secrets of ancient Egypt, we are left with an open question. What else might the golden mask of Susan's be hiding? The mask with its serene expression and golden glow may be a link to something far greater, something buried beneath its gilded surface, waiting for us to uncover. As we continue our exploration of Egypt's ancient mysteries, we now turn our attention to one of the most fascinating figures in ancient Egyptian history, Imhotep. Renowned as an architect, physician, priest and scholar, Imhotep is often regarded as one of the earliest polymaths in history. His legacy, however, is not just marked by his intellectual achievements, but by the tantalizing mystery surrounding his final resting place, the tomb of Imhotep, a burial site that has eluded archaeologists for centuries. Imhotep is perhaps best known for his architectural genius, most notably his design of the Step Pyramid of Giza, the first pyramid in Egypt's history. This structure, constructed in the 27th century BCE, is not only a marvel of engineering but also a testament to Imhotep's innovation. It is said that his influence on Egyptian architecture was so profound that he was later deified, worshipped as a god of wisdom, medicine and writing. But despite his extraordinary contributions to Egypt, one key element of his life has remained a mystery: his tomb. While Imhotep's legacy is enshrined in texts, temples and the very fabric of Egyptian history, no one knows where he was laid to rest. For centuries, the location of his tomb has baffled archaeologists, and the question of where Imhotep's final resting place might be remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in Egyptology. What we do know about Imhotep's burial is limited. He died at some point during the reign of Pharaoh Djoser, but there are no definitive records of his burial. One possibility is that Imhotep was originally buried in a simple unmarked grave, a reflection of his humble origins. However, as his fame grew, it is likely that his tomb would have been lavished with the same grandeur afforded to Egypt's greatest kings and queens. But where is this tomb? Was it hidden, destroyed, or simply lost to time? Some researchers believe that Imhotep's tomb might be located in the vicinity of the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, as the pyramid itself is strongly associated with his architectural genius. The vast necropolis surrounding Saqqara, home to numerous tombs of pharaohs and nobles, holds an immense wealth of undiscovered secrets. Imhotep, as the architect of the Step Pyramid, may have been buried nearby, but thus far no definitive evidence of his tomb has been found. Could his final resting place lie beneath the very sands that once held the pyramid's construction? Or has his tomb been hidden by forces beyond our comprehension? Despite numerous excavations, Imhotep's tomb remains elusive. It is possible that his burial was intentionally obscured either by his own design or by later generations wishing to protect it from robbers or invaders. Another possibility is that the tomb was lost in antiquity, swallowed by time and the shifting sands of Egypt. If this is the case, could there still be clues to its location waiting to be uncovered beneath the ruins of Saqqara or some other ancient site? One of the most intriguing aspects of the search for Imhotep's tomb is the potential connection to the mysterious tomb of the physician. In the 19th century, a tomb was discovered at Saqqara, near the Step Pyramid, that seemed to have been built for a high-ranking physician. The tomb contained inscriptions that referenced a figure with medical expertise, a title closely associated with Imhotep. Some believe this tomb could be Imhotep's final resting place, or at least that it was intended for a figure whose life mirrored the legendary architect and physician's own. However, the tomb remains unproven to be Imhotep's, and the search for definitive evidence continues. Beyond the search for his physical tomb, there is the question of the legacy that Imhotep left behind. As the first architect to design a pyramid, he revolutionized Egypt's architectural traditions. But could his tomb hold secrets beyond the simple matter of his burial? Imhotep was deified as a god of wisdom, medicine, and healing, and his cult continued to flourish long after his death. It is said that he was revered as a figure who bridged the gap between the human and the divine. Could his tomb contain knowledge, hidden rituals, medical texts, or even mystical teachings that were meant to remain secret? Some have speculated that Imhotep's tomb, if ever discovered, may not be a simple burial site, but a repository of ancient wisdom, hidden away by those who wish to preserve his divine status. Imhotep's tomb, if found, could reveal much more than just the final resting place of a remarkable man. It might provide us with insight into the religious and intellectual traditions of ancient Egypt, giving us a deeper understanding of how the Egyptians viewed death, the afterlife, and the role of their greatest minds. What if the tomb is not only a physical site, but a symbolic one representing the intersection of science, spirituality, and royal power that Imhotep embodied? One of the more speculative theories suggests that Imhotep's tomb may be connected to the larger cosmic and astrological systems that governed ancient Egyptian thought. The Egyptians were keenly aware of the stars, the movement of the heavens, and the influence of celestial bodies on their lives. Could Imhotep's tomb have been designed in such a way that it aligned with certain astronomical events, or was built to serve as a cosmic marker linking him to the gods he was said to embody? If such a connection exists, it could explain why the tomb has remained hidden for so long. Perhaps it was never meant to be found by ordinary mortals. Others believe that the tomb could contain clues about the mysteries of ancient Egyptian medicine and healing. Imhotep's reputation as a healer was legendary. He was said to have been a physician with unparalleled knowledge, treating both the royal family and the common people alike. His association with healing wisdom and knowledge has led some to speculate that his tomb might hold ancient medical texts, perhaps even prescriptions or treatments that were considered too dangerous or advanced for public knowledge. Could Imhotep's tomb hold the key to lost medical knowledge, practices that were suppressed or forgotten over time? As we ponder the fate of Imhotep's tomb, it's clear that the mystery surrounding it is more than just a question of location. It is a question of knowledge, power, and the very nature of the ancient Egyptian worldview. Imhotep's tomb is not merely a place of burial. It is a symbol of the intersection between science, mysticism, and divinity. If it is ever found, it will not only answer questions about the final resting place of one of Egypt's greatest figures, but it may also unlock long-lost secrets about the intersection of life and death, the human and the divine that defined ancient Egyptian thought. Imhotep, architect, physician, priest, and god. His tomb remains a tantalizing mystery waiting to be uncovered, and as we continue our search, we are left with a question that may never be fully answered. What else lies hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting for the right moment to be discovered? As we continue our exploration of Egypt's most perplexing mysteries, we come to a site that is often overlooked in the grand narrative of Egyptian civilization, Elephantine Island. Located in the Nile River just south of Aswan, this small rocky island is home to some of Egypt's most enigmatic ruins, a place where the boundaries between history and myth become blurred. The island, which once held an important strategic position, is now an oasis of quiet in the midst of Egypt's arid desert. Yet beneath its surface lies a story that stretches back millennia, one that is far from fully understood. Elephantine Island was not only a vital military and trade outpost, but also a religious centre. Its role as a buffer between Egypt and Nubia made it a site of both political and cultural significance. Ancient Egyptians built a series of fortifications here, and the island was home to a settlement of priests, soldiers, and craftsmen. The island was a hub of activity, and many inscriptions and artifacts have been found that point to a thriving community. Yet despite its importance, much of the history of the people who lived there remains shrouded in mystery. One of the most notable features of Elephantine Island is the remains of an ancient temple dedicated to Khum, the ram-headed god of the Nile, who was said to control the flow of water and the fertility of the land. Khum's temple stood on the island for centuries, and its ruins still attract visitors and archaeologists alike. The temple, like many others in Egypt, was not simply a place of worship. It was a symbol of Egypt's cosmological beliefs and its connection to the divine forces that govern the natural world. The Nile, in particular, was central to Egyptian life, and Ken was thought to have created the first humans from clay, shaping them on his potter's wheel. Yet, despite the many inscriptions and artifacts that speak to Kum's significance, the temple's exact role and the full extent of its influence on the surrounding community remain elusive. What is perhaps even more mysterious than the temple itself are the people who lived on Elephantine Island. While the island was a significant religious and military outpost, archaeological evidence suggests that it was also home to a unique and diverse population, including people from Egypt, Nubia, and possibly other regions. The island was a melting pot of cultures, and the evidence of this is found in the variety of inscriptions and artifacts that have been uncovered. But who were these people? What did they believe? And why did such a diverse group of individuals come together on this relatively small and isolated island? The inscriptions found on Elephantine Island offer some clues, but they raise more questions than they answer. Some of the inscriptions refer to the worship of gods from outside the traditional Egyptian pantheon, suggesting that the island may have been a place where various religious practices coexisted or even blended. Was Elephantine Island a site of syncretism, where different cultures and belief systems came together? Or was it a place where individuals from different regions of the Nile Valley could worship in a way that was uniquely their own? The answer remains unclear. In addition to the inscriptions, archaeologists have found evidence of a small Jewish community on Elephantine Island, one of the most curious aspects of the island's history. The Jewish presence on the island is well documented in ancient texts, and a number of Hebrew inscriptions have been uncovered, some of which suggest that the community on Elephantine was not merely transient, but had established its own temple to Yahweh, the God of Israel. This discovery has led scholars to question the nature of the island's population and its religious practices. How did this Jewish community come to be on an island that was primarily inhabited by Egyptians and Nubians? And what was the nature of their relationship with the Egyptian authorities? The Jewish community on Elephantine Island is particularly intriguing because it existed during a time when the Egyptian rulers were undergoing significant political and religious changes. The island's population would have lived through the reign of pharaohs like Psammiticus II and the early years of the Persian conquest of Egypt, a period of considerable instability. How did this Jewish community navigate the shifting political landscape, and what role did their temple to Yahweh play in their relationship with the Egyptians? Beyond the well-documented presence of the Jewish community, there are also strange references in historical texts that suggest other even more enigmatic visitors to the island. Some scholars believe that Elephantine Island may have been a site of extraterrestrial contact based on the interpretations of certain symbols found in the ruins. While mainstream Egyptology dismisses such theories as fringe speculation, the symbolism present in the island's ancient inscriptions remains puzzling. Could these symbols represent a connection to something beyond the earthly realm, a hint of a forgotten connection with otherworldly beings? Or are they simply the result of the island's complex mix of cultures and religious practices? The mystery of Elephantine Island is also deepened by the ongoing archaeological excavations that continue to reveal new layers of history. The island, though thoroughly explored, still holds many secrets. In 1967, a team of archaeologists uncovered an ancient Egyptian tomb that had been hidden for centuries, containing a remarkable collection of pottery, jewellery and inscriptions. The discovery of this tomb raised further questions about the island's long history and its importance to the ancient Egyptians. What else might lie beneath the surface waiting to be discovered? What other artifacts or tombs might hold answers to the questions surrounding the island's ancient residents? Perhaps one of the most perplexing aspects of Elephantine Island is the question of why such a strategically significant site remains relatively untouched by modern exploration. Unlike many of Egypt's other famous archaeological sites, Elephantine Island has not received the same level of attention or preservation. While there are ongoing excavations, the island has not been as extensively studied as other major sites like Luxor or the Giza Plateau. Why? After centuries of exploration and discovery, does Elephantine Island still hold so many unanswered questions? Could it be that there is more to the island than we yet understand? Perhaps a hidden history that has yet to be fully revealed? The mystery of Elephantine Island is a story of ancient peoples, complex religious practices, and a blending of cultures that defy easy explanation. From the Egyptian priests who worshipped Ken to the Jewish community that built their own temple, the island was a place of convergence, a crossroads of faith, culture, and history. But what lies beneath the surface of this small island with its rich and diverse past? Could there still be more to discover, more to understand about the people who once called Elephantine home? The answers remain just out of reach, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. As we step back from the banks of the Nile, the quiet ripples of the river seem to whisper their secrets. Secrets of a time long past, yet still very much present. What mysteries still linger on Elephantine Island? What truths have been hidden for thousands of years, waiting for us to discover? As we journey further into the hidden corners of ancient Egypt, we now come to a topic that has intrigued historians, archaeologists and Egyptologists for centuries: the lost pharaohs of Egypt's 18th dynasty. This period, which spanned from the 16th to the 13th century BCE, is often seen as the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian power and culture. It was during the 18th dynasty that Egypt reached new heights in terms of political, military and artistic achievements, and its pharaohs became legends in their own right, figures such as Hatshepsut, Akhenaten and Tutankhamun. But despite the grandeur and fame of many of these rulers, a shadow of mystery hangs over some of their counterparts. For while we know the names and deeds of certain pharaohs, others from this period have vanished entirely from the historical record, leaving behind no more than tantalizing clues. The 18th dynasty was marked by a series of powerful rulers who brought Egypt back from the brink of political fragmentation. It was a time of consolidation as Egypt expanded its empire through military conquests and established diplomatic relations with other powers of the ancient world. Yet within this context of prosperity and stability, there is an undeniable mystery. Several pharaohs of this dynasty have seemingly disappeared from the annals of history, their names erased, their tombs lost to time. One such mystery lies with the pharaohs who preceded the famous Hatshepsut. The early years of the 18th dynasty remain largely enigmatic. While there are a few recorded names, much of what we know about this period comes from fragments of inscriptions or later historical accounts, and not from the direct evidence of tombs or monumental structures. Did these early pharaohs leave behind a legacy, or were their reigns deliberately erased from history? Take for example the figure of Pharaoh Amos III. While his name is well known as the first ruler of the 18th dynasty, his successors, particularly the powerful Amenhotep, seem to overshadow his legacy. Amos III's reign marked the end of the Second Intermediate Period, a time when Egypt was divided and occupied by the Hyksos people. Amos's military campaigns were crucial in driving the Hyksos out. But why does he appear to have left no monument or legacy of equal magnitude compared to later rulers? Could it be that his accomplishments were overshadowed by those who followed, or was something more deliberate at work? Even more intriguing is the reign of Pharaoh Amenhotep I, who succeeded Amos. Amenhotep I is notable for his religious reforms and for the fact that his tomb, once believed to be in the Valley of the Kings, was lost for centuries. In 1881, a cache of mummies was found in a tomb known as DB320, hidden deep in a remote part of the Valley of the Kings. Among the mummies found in this tomb were those of several 18th dynasty pharaohs, including Amenhotep III. Why was his tomb hidden? And why did it take so long for his burial place to be rediscovered? The discovery raised more questions than it answered, and despite the evidence of his royal status, Amenhotep I remains an elusive figure in Egyptian history. The mystery of the lost pharaohs becomes even more complicated when we turn to the reign of Akhenaten, a controversial king who famously abandoned Egypt's polytheistic beliefs in favour of the worship of the sun disk Aten. Akhenaten's reign and the religious revolution he ushered in have fascinated scholars for centuries, but even more perplexing than his rule is his mysterious disappearance from the historical record. While Akhenaten's religious reforms are well documented, his death is shrouded in uncertainty. Where did Akhenaten go after his death? Was his tomb hidden for political reasons, or did his successors actively seek to erase his memory? The mystery surrounding Akhenaten deepened after the reign of his son Tutankhamun, whose early death left Egypt in a state of political upheaval. Following Akhenaten's death, the new pharaohs attempted to erase every trace of his reign, from his religious reforms to the very monuments that had been built in his name. Could this erasure have been an attempt to silence Akhenaten's controversial reign? Or was it a simple result of the political turmoil that followed his death? But it is not just Akhenaten's reign that raises questions. It is the very nature of the 18th dynasty's royal succession. The tombs of many of Egypt's rulers during this time remain unaccounted for, and some of the pharaohs who are known only from inscriptions or fragments of records may have been deliberately written out of the historical record. Why were these rulers ignored or erased? Were their reigns deemed insignificant? Or were they somehow seen as threats to the established order? The discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922 by archaeologist Howard Carter was one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. Yet, it also illuminated a dark corner of Egyptology. Tutankhamun, the so-called boy king, has long been a symbol of the mysteries of the 18th dynasty. Though his reign was short and largely inconsequential from a political standpoint, his tomb was filled with treasures, many of which had been hastily placed in the tomb after his unexpected death. The treasures suggest that Tutankhamun was far more than just a forgotten king. He was part of a royal lineage that included some of the most powerful and mysterious rulers of ancient Egypt. But his tomb raises a crucial question. Why was the tomb of Tutankhamun so much more elaborate than those of other 18th dynasty rulers? And why was it left largely undisturbed for thousands of years? In addition to the tomb of Tutankhamun, a number of other royal tombs from the 18th dynasty remain unaccounted for. While many of the dynasty's rulers are buried in the Valley of the Kings, some of their tombs were never found, or if they were left unfinished or robbed long before they could be properly sealed. The tomb of the infamous Hatshepsut, for example, has been the subject of much speculation. Though the queen is well known as one of Egypt's most powerful rulers, her tomb remains something of an enigma. Did she truly die at the age recorded in historical texts? Or was her death the result of something more sinister? Could the political imaginations of her time have led to the suppression of her legacy? And if so, why? The lost pharaohs of the 18th dynasty are more than just a footnote in Egypt's history. They represent a mysterious and unresolved chapter in one of the most influential periods of ancient Egyptian civilization. The question of why certain rulers were erased from the historical record and why their tombs remain hidden is a question that continues to haunt archaeologists and historians today. Was it simply a matter of political rivalry? Or was there something deeper at work? A conspiracy, a cover-up, or perhaps even something beyond our understanding? As we stand in front of the monuments of the 18th dynasty, the majestic temples, the buried tombs, the towering obelisks, we are reminded that history is never as simple as it seems. Even in the shadow of Egypt's most celebrated pharaohs, there are those whose names have been lost to time, whose tombs remain hidden beneath the sands. What secrets might these lost pharaohs hold? And what truths about ancient Egypt still lie buried beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? The mystery of the lost pharaohs of the 18th dynasty remains one of Egypt's most enduring puzzles, and the search for answers continues to this day. As we delve deeper into the enigmatic world of ancient Egypt, we arrive at one of its most awe-inspiring yet puzzling sites, the Temple of Edfu. Located on the west bank of the Nile between Luxor and Aswan, this massive, remarkably well-preserved temple stands as a testament to Egypt's architectural prowess and religious devotion. Built during the Ptolemaic period around 237 to 57 BCE-BE, it is dedicated to Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky and protector of the pharaohs. But while its grandeur and beauty are undeniable, the Temple of Edfu also holds within its walls a mystery that has intrigued researchers for centuries, a mystery that for some suggests a potential connection to something far beyond the ancient Egyptians themselves. Edfu, one of the last great temples to be completed in ancient Egypt, is an architectural marvel. The temple is enormous with towering pylons, colossal statues of Horus, and meticulously carved reliefs that cover nearly every inch of its interior walls. The sheer scale of the temple and the level of detail in the carvings speaks to the level of importance that Edfu held in the religious landscape of Egypt. The walls are adorned with scenes of Horus in battle triumphing over the forces of chaos, as well as depictions of the gods and goddesses who were central to Egyptian cosmology. The temple also contains a wealth of inscriptions that tell the story of the building's construction, the religious rituals performed within its walls, and the significance of the god Horus in the Ptolemaic dynasty's claim to divine kingship. However, as scholars have pored over these inscriptions and examined the layout of the temple, one particular feature stands out: the detailed reliefs that depict what appear to be advanced technologies and strange machinery, images that for some bear an uncanny resemblance to modern day, depictions of flying machines, These carvings, known as the Edfu texts, have been interpreted in various ways, but one theory suggests that they depict an otherworldly technology, perhaps even something beyond the capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. On the southern wall of the temple, a series of intricate carvings show what looked like large mechanical devices that could be interpreted as a form of transportation. Some have pointed to these images as evidence of ancient Egypt's contact with extraterrestrial visitors, proposing that the Egyptians had access to advanced technology far beyond what was possible with the tools of their time. The theory suggests that these visitors could have been responsible for influencing the construction of such an awe-inspiring temple, perhaps even assisting in the design or providing knowledge of technology that would allow the Egyptians to build monumental structures with precision and complexity. This theory is of course highly speculative, and it is met with skepticism by mainstream archaeologists and Egyptologists. The more conventional explanation for the carvings is that they depict ceremonial or symbolic representations rather than literal machinery. The ancient Egyptians, after all, were no strangers to symbolism, and many of their depictions of gods and the divine were meant to communicate abstract concepts, not physical reality. The flying machines on the walls of Edfu could simply be representations of the divine or celestial realms, an artistic expression of the power and transcendence of the gods. Yet, even within these conventional explanations, there remains an element of the unknown. The Temple of Edfu is not the only ancient Egyptian site that contains curious depictions of advanced or otherworldly technology. Similar symbols have been found at other temples, most notably the Temple of Karnak, where certain reliefs depict objects that resemble modern-day flying craft or technological devices. These carvings, when considered in isolation, might be dismissed as metaphorical representations of spiritual or divine concepts. But when viewed in the broader context of Egypt's complex religious and cosmological beliefs, they take on an entirely different significance. Could it be that the ancient Egyptians, with their sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy and engineering, were simply more advanced in their technological achievements than we give them credit for? The Egyptians were masters of architecture, and their ability to construct massive stone structures with such precision remains a marvel. Could they have developed a form of transportation or machinery that allowed them to travel long distances or perform feats of engineering that seem almost impossible by today's standards? It is not entirely beyond the realm of possibility that the Egyptians were privy to knowledge that has been lost to history, perhaps passed down from an ancient civilization or even from extraterrestrial sources. Though the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on ancient Egypt has been a subject of debate for years, fueled in part by the uncanny precision of the Great Pyramids of Giza and the enigmatic nature of other Egyptian monuments. Some theorists suggest that the Egyptians could not have achieved such feats without assistance from beings with advanced knowledge or technology. The Temple of Edfu, with its cryptic carvings of what could be interpreted as flying machines, adds fuel to this speculative fire, raising questions about what might have been the true origins of Egyptian civilization. But even if we reject the idea of extraterrestrial influence, the Temple of Edfu remains a fascinating puzzle. Why would the Tiamat rulers choose to include such intricate and mysterious imagery in their temple to Horus? Was it simply a symbolic gesture, a way of illustrating the power of the gods and their dominion over all realms, including the heavens? Or was there a deeper, more hidden meaning in these depictions, a secret that has yet to be uncovered? Another intriguing aspect of the Temple of Edfu is the series of inscriptions that describe the temple's construction and its religious significance. These texts, which date back to the 2nd century BCE, are among the most complete and detailed records we have from ancient Egypt. They offer a glimpse into the religious practices of the time, describing the rituals performed within the temple and the role of Horus as a central figure in Egyptian cosmology. Yet there is a peculiar ambiguity in these texts that cannot be ignored. While they tell us much about the temple's purpose and significance, they leave out key details about how the temple was built or the sources of the knowledge that led to its design. Could it be that the builders of the Temple of Edfu were working with knowledge that has since been lost to time? Were they in possession of secrets about the construction of such monumental structures passed down through generations, or possibly even acquired from an unknown source? The complexity of the temple's design, its alignment with astronomical phenomena, and the precision of its construction suggests that the ancient Egyptians possessed a remarkable understanding of engineering and geometry. But what inspired them to reach these heights of architectural achievement? the mystery of the Temple of Edfu invites us to consider the possibility that there is more to the ancient Egyptians than we have yet uncovered. Whether these mysteries are the result of lost knowledge, cultural symbolism, or something more extraordinary, the fact remains that the Temple of Edfu holds secrets that continue to elude our understanding. The flying machines carved into the walls of the temple, the cryptic inscriptions, and the grandeur of the temple itself all suggest that there is much more to discover about this remarkable site. Could the ancient Egyptians have been in contact with forces beyond our comprehension? Or is the true mystery of the Temple of Edfu something far more earthly? Perhaps a lost technology, a forgotten knowledge, or a deeper understanding of the cosmos that remains hidden beneath the sands of time. As we stand before the towering pylons and intricate carvings of Edfu, we are reminded that history is never as simple as it seems. The Temple of Edfu is more than just a place of worship. It is a window into a world of mystery and wonder, where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blur. And as we continue to explore Egypt's ancient past, we are left to wonder what other secrets lie hidden within its walls, waiting to be uncovered. After examining the enigmatic temples and mysterious carvings of ancient Egypt, we now find ourselves at one of the most awe-inspiring sites. One that speaks not just of the grandeur of Egyptian architecture, but of the astonishing skill and craftsmanship that went into creating it, the hypostyle hall at the Temple of Karnak. This vast cavernous space with its towering columns and intricate reliefs is not just a marvel of ancient engineering, it also holds within it a mystery that has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. The unfinished art that lies within its walls. This unfinished art, in a sense, may offer us a glimpse into the ancient Egyptians' unmatched mastery of tools, materials, and construction techniques. But it also raises questions about why some of these masterpieces were left incomplete, and what the process itself might reveal about the people who created them. The Hypral Hall at Karnak is one of the most iconic architectural achievements of ancient Egypt. A monumental space filled with 134 massive columns, some of which soar to heights of over 70 feet. These columns, with their intricate carvings and detailed hieroglyphs, form a dense, almost overwhelming forest of stone. The space itself is a place of grandeur designed to evoke a sense of the divine. As you walk through the hall, the sheer scale of the columns and the depth of the engravings on their surfaces leave you with a profound sense of awe. Yet, as you move through this impressive structure, you're also confronted with a strange and somewhat disorienting feature: the unfinished artwork hidden in plain sight that lies among the more polished carvings. For centuries, this unfinished art has been overlooked by many, treated simply as the result of construction delays or abandoned projects. But as we take a closer look, it becomes clear that this unfinished work is far more than just an oversight. It may be a key to understanding the mastery of Egyptian craftsmanship, the tools they used, and the cultural significance of the process itself. The unfinished reliefs on the columns of the hypostyle hall offer a unique insight into the way the ancient Egyptians worked. Carvings that were once part of the decorative program of the hall are left in various stages of completion, some barely sketched, others partially carved, and still others left with only the faintest outlines visible. These unfinished pieces provide a striking contrast to the highly polished finished reliefs that adorn the rest of the temple. But what do they mean? Why were they left incomplete, especially in such an important and sacred space? At first glance, one might assume that these unfinished carvings were simply abandoned due to time constraints, a delay in construction, or changes in the king's orders. However, a deeper look suggests that there may be more at play here than mere neglect. Some scholars have speculated that the unfinished art may have been left as part of a deliberate ritual. In ancient Egypt, the act of creation itself was often seen as a sacred process imbued with divine power. Perhaps the unfinished reliefs were left deliberately as a form of offering to the gods, an acknowledgement of the imperfection of human creation in the face of the divine. Could it be that the Egyptians believed the unfinished carvings were more powerful in their incompleteness, their potential left suspended, waiting for divine intervention to bring them to fruition? Others have suggested that the unfinished art represents a fascinating window into the tools and methods the ancient Egyptians used to carve such intricate and detailed reliefs. The complexity of the engravings, especially on such a massive scale, suggests that the Egyptians must have possessed advanced tools and techniques, tools that may have been far more sophisticated than we have traditionally given them credit for. The unfinished carvings show the gradual progression of the work with the outlines of the figure still visible. The precision of the cuts became more apparent as the artist's hand moved from sketching to carving. The variation in the depth and sharpness of the relief speaks to the Egyptians' meticulous craftsmanship. But the unfinished pieces also invite us to consider what other methods might have been employed in the carving process. Methods that are now lost to time. Interestingly, the unfinished art at Karnak is not an isolated case. Similar instances of incomplete carvings have been found throughout Egypt, from the unfinished tombs in the Valley of the Kings to the incomplete hieroglyphs at other temple sites. These unfinished works are often found in sacred spaces where the divine and the human were believed to intersect. This raises the question, was the act of completion seen as something that could only be achieved through divine intervention? Or was the unfinished state of these works a reflection of a larger philosophical or spiritual idea about the nature of creation, perfection, and imperfection? Some researchers have proposed that the unfinished reliefs in the hypostyle hall might also hold clues to the Egyptians' understanding of time and eternity. In many ancient cultures, including Egypt, time was seen as cyclical, an endless loop that was often represented by the sun, the seasons, and the eternal gods. The act of creating something and leaving it unfinished could be seen as a symbolic gesture, a reminder that even the gods' works were never truly finished. The unfinished reliefs could therefore be a symbolic representation of the eternal cycle of creation and destruction, an acknowledgement that the work of the gods and of human beings was never truly complete, but always in a state of becoming. The tools used to create these reliefs, too, remain part of the mystery. Ancient Egyptian stone carving techniques are still not fully understood despite centuries of study. The Egyptians were known to use copper tools for many of their carvings, but these would not have been sufficient for the intricate detail found in the reliefs of the Hypoeal Hall. Some scholars have suggested that the ancient Egyptians may have used harder materials such as basalt or bronze to craft their tools, while others point to the use of abrasives like sand and emery to aid in the carving process. Yet the precision with which the carvings were made down to the finest details of facial features, clothing, and hieroglyphs suggests that the Egyptians may have had access to technologies or methods that we have yet to fully discover. What is clear is that the unfinished artwork at the Hypoeal Hall serves as a testament to the skill of the ancient Egyptians, a skill that allowed them to produce monumental structures and art with a level of precision and complexity that still baffles modern researchers. The unfinished carvings remind us that while much has been achieved, there are still mysteries that lie hidden beneath the surface of Egypt's ancient history. These unfinished works challenge us to look deeper, to question what we think we know, and to wonder about the tools, the methods, and the philosophies that shaped the creation of one of the most awe-inspiring civilizations the world has ever known. As we stand in the shadow of the hypostyle hall, surrounded by the towering columns and intricate carvings, we are confronted not just with the splendor of Egyptian architecture, but with the unfinished nature of its art, a mystery that continues to elude us. What secrets do these incomplete reliefs hold? What can they teach us about the ancient Egyptians' view of creation, imperfection, and divinity? And what might be hidden in the unfinished work waiting to be uncovered by the next generation of explorers and scholars? The answers, like the reliefs themselves, remain unfinished. But perhaps it is in this very incompleteness that the true mystery lies, waiting for us to delve deeper, question further, and uncover the tools and techniques that once made the unimaginable real. As we continue our journey through the heart of ancient Egypt, we arrive at one of the most significant yet enigmatic sites of the Old Kingdom, the lost temple of Pharaoh Djoser. Located within the confines of the Saqqara necropolis, just outside of modern-day Cairo, this ancient temple is a place of profound mystery. Known primarily for its association with the Step Pyramid, one of the earliest and most iconic pyramids in Egyptian history, the temple itself holds secrets that seem to stretch far beyond the boundaries of conventional archaeology. And for some, the question arises, could this temple have been something more than just a royal monument or a religious structure? Could it have been a portal to another world, a doorway to realms unknown? The lost Temple of Djoser is perhaps best known for its monumental association with the Step Pyramid, the first of its kind in ancient Egypt. Constructed during the reign of Djouet, the second pharaoh of the Third Dynasty, this pyramid marks a dramatic leap in Egyptian architectural evolution. The step pyramid, with its 6 layers rising in a series of diminishing terraces, stands as a precursor to the more familiar smooth-sided pyramids that would come to symbolize the grandeur of the Egyptian kingdom. But while the step pyramid captures the imagination with its bold design and innovative construction, it is the temple surrounding the pyramid that continues to stir the curiosity of archaeologists and mystics alike. This temple, which lies just to the south of the pyramid, is a sprawling complex of courtyards, chambers, and intricate carvings. Its architecture, like the pyramid itself, is highly advanced, a blend of religious symbolism and royal grandeur. Yet, it is the unusual features of the temple that continue to baffle those who study it. The walls of the temple are adorned with scenes of Jose's reign, showcasing his role as both a divine ruler and protector of Egypt. However, there are also enigmatic carvings and markings that seem to defy explanation. Some of these reliefs depict strange otherworldly figures, beings that do not fit into the established pantheon of Egyptian gods. Others suggest a possible connection to the heavens with symbols that hint at a celestial connection, or knowledge of the stars and planets that seems remarkably advanced for the time. At the centre of the temple, one might expect to find the usual offerings to the gods, but instead there are strange chambers, some of which are positioned in odd alignment with celestial events. The floor plans of the temple seem to be deliberately oriented toward the heavens, creating a sense of cosmic alignment. Is this purely symbolic, a representation of the king's desire to align himself with divine powers, or does it point to a deeper, more mysterious purpose? Perhaps a purpose that involved a form of knowledge or practice that was far ahead of its time. The mystery deepens when we consider the unusual nature of the step pyramid itself. While the pyramid is a marvel of early engineering, it also stands apart from other pyramid structures in several key ways. Some researchers have suggested that the step pyramid may not have been intended simply as a burial place for Pharaoh Djoser. Instead, it could have served as a kind of stairway to the heavens, a portal through which Djoser could ascend to join the gods in the afterlife. The pyramid's unique shape, its alignment with certain celestial bodies, and its position within the temple complex all hint at a connection to a more esoteric understanding of the cosmos, a view of the afterlife as something more profound, perhaps even involving contact with forces or beings beyond this world. Could it be that Djoser's step pyramid and the surrounding temple were designed not only to honour the gods, but to facilitate a connection with another realm? Could the ancient Egyptians have believed that the king, through his death, could transcend the earthly realm and access another world, perhaps a world of spirits or divine entities? Some have even speculated that the pyramid itself could have been a conduit for otherworldly communication, an ancient device designed to facilitate contact with extraterrestrial beings, or perhaps a means of reaching into the very fabric of the universe itself. While these theories remain speculative, there are certain elements of the temple and pyramid that invite such questions. The unusual alignment of the temple, the strange celestial motifs found on the walls, and the focus on transformation on the king's ascent to the divine suggest that the ancient Egyptians saw death and the afterlife not simply as a continuation of life, but as a passage into something far more mysterious. The concept of a portal, whether literal or metaphorical, may not be as far-fetched as it seems. In the context of Egyptian cosmology, the journey of the pharaohs into the afterlife was often depicted as a passage through dangerous realms, where the soul would be tested and ultimately transformed into something eternal. Further adding to the intrigue is the fact that the lost Temple of Djoser itself remains somewhat of an enigma. While it is clearly connected to the pyramid, it has never been fully explored or understood. Archaeologists have uncovered portions of the temple, but many of its chambers and corridors remain hidden beneath the sands of time. What lies beneath the surface? What secrets might yet be uncovered within the temple's walls, waiting to reveal themselves to those who dare to explore further? One of the most perplexing aspects of the temple is the presence of certain carvings that suggest a knowledge of technologies or practices that seem far beyond what was known to the ancient Egyptians. These depictions, some of which resemble machinery or devices that could be interpreted as tools of transportation or communication, raise the question, did the Egyptians possess a technology that has been lost to history? Or, as some fringe theories suggest, could these carvings be evidence of ancient extraterrestrial influence, a hidden history of contact with beings who possessed advanced knowledge far beyond what the ancient Egyptians themselves could have developed? The idea of extraterrestrial influence on ancient Egypt is, of course, highly controversial and far from universally accepted. Yet the mystery of the lost Temple of Giza, its unusual architecture, its celestial alignments, and its otherworldly carvings continues to fuel speculation. Was this temple, with its elaborate design and mysterious features, a portal to another world? Did Pharaoh Josiah, in constructing this monument, seek to reach beyond the earthly realm and connect with something far greater? Could the ancient Egyptians have known something about the nature of the universe that we have yet to uncover? It is impossible to say for certain what the true purpose of the lost Temple of Giza was, or what the ancient Egyptians believed about the afterlife and the mysteries of the cosmos. But the questions it raises are profound, and they speak to a deeper, more fundamental mystery about the ancient world. What knowledge did the Egyptians possess that has been lost to time? What secrets remain hidden within the walls of the temple waiting to be discovered? And what, if anything, lies beyond the veil of the physical world, just out of reach, waiting for us to unlock the door? The lost Temple of Giza stands as a silent testament to the mysteries that still linger in the heart of Egypt. As we continue to explore the wonders of this ancient civilization, we are reminded that the past is never as simple as it seems. There are always secrets waiting to be uncovered, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right question to be asked. What is the true nature of the temple? What might we still discover? And what truths might yet remain hidden within its ancient walls? Only time and perhaps a deeper understanding of the mysteries of the universe will tell. As we shift our focus from the monumental temples and pyramids of ancient Egypt, we find ourselves standing before one of the most elusive and enigmatic secrets of the ancient world, the tomb of Nefertiti. The very name Nefertiti evokes images of grandeur and mystery. Known as one of Egypt's most powerful queens, the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and the mother of the famous Tutankhamun, Nefertiti was revered not only for her beauty, but for her role in the radical religious and political changes that swept through the Egyptian kingdom during the 18th dynasty. However, despite her immense historical significance, the exact location of her final resting place remains a mystery that continues to elude archaeologists and historians alike. Nefertiti's tomb has never been found, at least not definitively. The Queen's death, like much of her life, is shrouded in uncertainty. Was she buried in the Valley of the Kings alongside other royals of the New Kingdom? Or did she meet her end in an undiscovered tomb elsewhere, hidden from the prying eyes of history for reasons we may never fully understand? The search for her resting place has taken on an almost mythical quality, with numerous expeditions and theories putting forward conflicting ideas about where she may lie. To understand the mystery surrounding Nefertiti's tomb, it is important to first reflect on the circumstances of her life and her reign. Nefertiti came to power in a period of dramatic upheaval. During the reign of her husband Akhenaten, the traditional religious and political systems of Egypt were upended. Akhenaten famously abandoned the centuries-old polytheistic worship of Amun in favour of the monotheistic worship of Aten, the sun disk. This radical shift in religious practice was met with resistance from the priesthood and the people, but Akhenaten and Nefertiti remained steadfast in their devotion to Aten. Together they built a new capital, Akheten, modern-day Amarna, which became a symbol of their new vision for Egypt. Nefertiti's role during this period is often seen as more than that of a mere consort. She was depicted in art as equal to her husband, sometimes even taking on the appearance of a pharaoh, wearing the crown of Upper Egypt and standing in the role of an equal ruler. This has led to speculation that Nefertiti may have ruled in her own right after Akhenaten's death, either as a regent for her young stepson Tutankhamun, or perhaps even as pharaoh in her own name. But while these questions continue to be debated by scholars, one fact remains clear. Nefertiti's influence on Egyptian history was profound. Yet, despite the prominence of Nefertiti's reign and the vast amount of art and artifacts dedicated to her, her tomb has never been conclusively identified. Ancient Egyptian tombs were meticulously planned and constructed, and the final resting places of the pharaohs and their queens were carefully chosen to reflect their status. Nefertiti's tomb, assuming it was built in her honour, would have been an extraordinary place, richly decorated, filled with treasures, and designed to ensure her safe passage into the afterlife. Yet, after centuries of searching, no one has uncovered definitive proof of its location. Instead, What we are left with are tantalizing clues and theories that hint at what might be hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered. The first breakthrough in the search for Nefertiti's tomb came in the 1920s, when the tomb of her husband Akhenaten was explored. Though Akhenaten's tomb has never been definitively located, many believe that he, like other pharaohs, would have been buried in the Valley of the Kings. However, no tomb bearing his name was found. What was discovered instead were numerous smaller tombs, some of which contained the remains of other royal family members, including potential relatives of Nefertiti, yet still no sign of the queen herself. In the years since, several different locations have been proposed as the possible burial site of Nefertiti, but the mystery remains unsolved. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence emerged in 2015 when radar scans of the tomb of Tutankhamun revealed what appeared to be hidden chambers within the tomb. The British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves suggested that these chambers could be the burial place of Nefertiti herself. According to Reeves, Nefertiti may have been buried in a secret chamber within Tutankhamun's tomb, possibly after her death or after Akhenaten's reign came to an abrupt end. If this theory holds any truth, it would mean that Nefertiti was buried in one of the most famous tombs in Egypt, but her remains would still be hidden, concealed by the passage of time and the shifting sands of history. However, this theory remains speculative. Despite the intriguing findings, no physical evidence has yet been uncovered to confirm the existence of Nefertiti's tomb within Tutankhamun's tomb. The question then arises, why would such a prominent figure as Nefertiti, a queen who likely played an essential role in the political and religious upheavals of the time, be buried in such secrecy? Was she deliberately hidden away, her tomb concealed for reasons of politics or power? Or is there another, more cryptic explanation for her absence from the official burial sites of Egypt? There is another theory, more fringe in nature, that suggests Nefertiti's tomb might not be located in Egypt at all. Some believe that Nefertiti's tomb was taken either during ancient times or in later centuries to a location far from Egypt's borders. The idea of the royal tombs of Egypt being moved to other lands is certainly not new, and it has fueled the imagination of treasure hunters, historians, and mystics alike. Could the tomb of one of Egypt's most famous queens have been relocated in antiquity to a distant secret place? Perhaps by priests seeking to protect the queen's remains from invaders, or by later conquerors who understood the power inherent in such sacred objects. Another mystery surrounds the nature of Nefertiti's tomb itself. The queen's death, like her life, remains shrouded in uncertainty. Some suggest that she may have died unexpectedly, leaving no time for the full preparations required for a royal tomb. Others speculate that she may have lived far beyond the death of her husband, perhaps even long enough to construct her own tomb, one that was ultimately never finished, or one whose location was intentionally hidden from view. Could it be that her tomb is somewhere yet to be discovered with a final resting place that was left unmarked by design? What other secrets might the tomb hold? As we ponder these questions, it becomes evident that the mystery of Nefertiti's tomb is one that transcends mere archaeology. It touches on deeper questions about power, legacy, and the secrets we leave behind. Why has her tomb remained hidden? What does this tell us about the ancient Egyptian understanding of death and the afterlife? And what might still be waiting beneath the sands of Egypt for those who dare to seek it out? Perhaps, as with many of the mysteries of ancient Egypt, the answer is not to be found through physical discovery alone, but through a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped Egyptian civilization and its view of the afterlife. As we continue to explore the enigmatic world of ancient Egypt, we are left with a question that remains just out of reach. Who was truly buried in the tomb of Nefertiti? And what secrets are waiting to be revealed? As we continue to peel back the layers of ancient Egypt's mysteries, we find ourselves drawn to one of the most perplexing and visually striking anomalies ever discovered within the country's vast historical landscape, the so-called Abydos flying machine. Carved into the walls of the Temple of Si at Abydos, these curious images have sparked decades of debate, capturing the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and even the public. The images depict shapes that bear an uncanny resemblance to modern-day helicopters, airplanes, and other forms of advanced machinery, leading some to ask, could ancient Egypt have known of technologies far beyond their time? The Abydos Temple, located in the city of Abydos in Upper Egypt, is one of the most important archaeological sites in the country. It is dedicated to the pharaoh Seti I, the father of the famous Ramesses II, and served as a major religious centre during the New Kingdom. The temple is renowned for its stunning reliefs and inscriptions, many of which depict religious and royal scenes, and it contains the so-called Abydos King List, which lists the names of Egypt's pharaohs from the first dynasty to Setai's reign. But amidst the religious iconography and royal depictions, there exists a strange and puzzling set of carvings, images that are distinctly out of place within the context of ancient Egyptian art. On the temple's walls, one can find reliefs of what appear to be flying objects, some of which closely resemble modern aircraft. These carvings depict shapes that, to the modern eye, appear unmistakably like helicopters, airplanes, and even a futuristic-looking submarine. The shapes seem to hover above the temple floor, their outlines etched into the ancient stone with an eerie precision. The first question that arises when looking at these carvings is, what are they? Could these images truly be representations of flying machines, or is it possible that they are simply stylized depictions of something else? The mainstream explanation for these carvings is that they are the result of later restorations and alterations made to the temple walls, or that they were the product of the artistic conventions of the time. According to this view, the odd shapes are merely the result of the wear and tear of centuries, combined with the artistic interpretation of ancient Egyptian craftsmen. However, when examining the carvings in greater detail, some curious details begin to emerge. These flying machines, as they are often called, appear remarkably similar to modern vehicles, particularly helicopters. One relief, for example, shows a shape that bears an uncanny resemblance to a helicopter rotor blade, while another depicts what looks like the sleek body of an airplane. Some observers have pointed out that these shapes do not correspond to any known objects in ancient Egyptian iconography, which tends to be highly symbolic and stylized rather than realistic. So what could have inspired these images? One theory suggests that the reliefs are the result of ancient Egyptian knowledge of a much more advanced technology, possibly an understanding of flight that was far ahead of its time. Could it be that the ancient Egyptians had access to a form of technology that we have only just begun to understand in the modern age? Perhaps they had developed some form of aerial transportation or flying machines, the existence of which has been lost to history. This theory is often discussed in connection with the broader idea of ancient civilizations possessing technologies far beyond what is typically credited to them by mainstream archaeology. Another possible explanation for the carvings lies in the realm of speculation and fringe theories. Some have suggested that the images at Abydos might not represent earthly technology at all, but rather extraterrestrial visitors or advanced beings who shared their knowledge of flight with the ancient Egyptians. This theory is often associated with the idea of ancient astronauts, a controversial hypothesis that proposes that ancient civilizations were visited by beings from other worlds, and that these visitors imparted advanced knowledge, including technologies that allowed for flight. Could the shapes in the Abydos temple be evidence of such a visit? The idea of extraterrestrial involvement in ancient Egypt is not new, and it has been popularized by books, documentaries, and TV shows. Supporters of this theory point to other anomalies in ancient Egyptian art, such as the depiction of strange beings and otherworldly symbols, which they argue might be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. The images in the Abydos temple, with their striking resemblance to modern-day flying machines, fit neatly into this narrative. But of course, this theory is highly speculative and remains unproven. So if the carvings are not the product of extraterrestrial influence, what then? Could there be a more earthly explanation for the unusual images? Some researchers have suggested that the flying machine depictions are the result of ancient Egyptians incorporating more recent technologies into their artistic representations. It is possible that these carvings were not made during Seti Lura's reign, but were added during later periods, perhaps even in the 20th century when the modern interpretation of flight began to dominate the collective imagination. In this view, the objects depicted in the temple might be the result of later restorations where the ancient figures were reinterpreted by craftsmen who saw helicopters and airplanes as the natural extensions of ancient ideas about flight. Another intriguing possibility is that the carvings are purely symbolic in nature. The ancient Egyptians were known for their rich and complex religious symbolism, and many of their depictions were intended to convey abstract concepts rather than literal representations of the world. Could the flying machines at Abydos represent something more abstract, perhaps a vision of divine or celestial power? After all, in the ancient Egyptian worldview, the heavens were often thought to be a realm of gods and immortals, and the concept of flight was often associated with the divine. Could these images be metaphors expressing the divine power of the gods who are believed to soar above the earthly realm? As with many aspects of ancient Egyptian history, the true meaning of the flying machines remains elusive. The images at Abydos offer no definitive answers, only more questions. Were these carvings an artistic representation of a technology that was once real, or are they simply part of the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian symbolism? Did the Egyptians possess a forgotten form of advanced technology? Or is it possible that the images were added much later as a reflection of modern-day knowledge and interpretations? The mystery of the Abydos flying machines continues to capture the imagination of those who study the ancient world. Whether they are the product of advanced ancient technology, alien influence, or mere artistic interpretation, these strange reliefs remind us of the deep and lasting mystery that surrounds ancient Egypt. What secrets are hidden in these carvings? What knowledge, if any, did the ancient Egyptians possess that we have yet to uncover? As we explore the enigmatic history of this ancient civilization, we are left to wonder what other mysteries remain hidden, waiting to be discovered beneath the sands of time. As we continue our exploration of the ancient world, we now turn our attention to a creature that was both revered and feared in ancient Egypt, the crocodile. The sacred crocodile was not merely an animal to the Egyptians, it was a symbol of divine power and an integral part of their religious practices. In the swamps of the Nile and the waters that flowed through the Egyptian landscape, crocodiles became more than just predators. They were woven deeply into the spiritual and ritualistic fabric of Egyptian society, representing gods, offering divine protection, and playing key roles in sacred rites that have long since passed into the realm of mystery. The most famous of these sacred creatures is perhaps the crocodile-headed god, Sobek. Depicted as a man with the head of a crocodile or a full crocodile, Sobek was worshipped as the god of the Nile, fertility, and military prowess. He was seen as a protector of the pharaoh, ensuring his success in battle and maintaining the balance of nature along the river. But Sobek's influence stretched beyond simple worship. He was central to numerous rituals, and crocodiles were both objects of devotion and actual participants in these ceremonies. In the city of Crocodilopolis or Chade, modern-day Fiume, which was dedicated to Sobek, the most elaborate of these rituals took place. Here the Egyptians kept large numbers of sacred crocodiles, some of which were treated with the utmost reverence. These crocodiles were raised in elaborate enclosures, fed offerings of meat, and adorned with gilded collars demonstrating their high status. The city became a centre for the cult of Sobek, and it was here that the mysteries of the sacred crocodile were most fully expressed. The greatest mystery, however, lies in the role that these crocodiles played in ancient Egyptian religious practices. In the temple of Sobek at Fiume, archaeological findings have revealed that crocodiles were not only venerated but also used in rituals involving human interaction. The Egyptians, who were deeply connected to their gods and believed in the cyclical nature of life and death, engaged in sacred acts that invoked the power of Sobek through the presence of these animals. The sacred crocodiles were believed to embody the god himself, their presence in rituals thought to channel Sobek's divine power. But how exactly did these rituals unfold, and why were crocodiles rather than other creatures chosen for this role? One possibility lies in the connection between the crocodile and the very nature of the Nile River, which the ancient Egyptians considered the lifeblood of their civilization. The Nile was not only a source of sustenance, providing water and fertile soil for agriculture, but it was also seen as a divine force, an entity that brought life, death, and rebirth. The crocodile, with its natural habitat in the river, became an embodiment of these cycles. It was a creature that existed between two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. Crocodiles are, after all, both dangerous predators and vital components of the ecosystem. And this duality may have been seen as a reflection of Sobek's own nature, as a god of creation and destruction. Another element of the mystery lies in the physical and symbolic qualities of the crocodile itself. Crocodiles are known for their ability to survive in harsh conditions, thriving in both freshwater and saltwater environments. Their resilience and adaptability could have been seen as a divine attribute, symbolizing the power of the gods to endure and protect through even the most difficult circumstances. The crocodile's ability to move between land and water, its ancient and fearsome appearance, may have been viewed as a representation of Sobek's authority over both the earthly and spiritual realms. The rituals surrounding the crocodiles were not limited to the worship of Sobek. Crocodiles were also involved in ceremonies designed to ensure the fertility of the land. In one notable practice, it is believed that the sacred crocodiles were released into the Nile to bless the waters, ensuring that the river's floods would come in season and bring the life-giving nutrients necessary for agriculture. The Egyptians, who were intimately connected with the land and its cycles, saw these rituals as vital to the prosperity of the kingdom. The crocodiles, as symbols of Sobek, were thus not just spiritual intermediaries. They were living embodiments of the forces that governed Egypt's survival and prosperity. But the mystery surrounding the sacred crocodiles deepens when we consider the more controversial aspects of their treatment. The ancient Egyptians did not merely worship crocodiles from a distance, they interacted with them directly. In some temples, it is believed that priests and high-ranking individuals would engage in the handling of these crocodiles, sometimes using them in ceremonies where the animal's power and symbolism would be invoked. Was this act an offering to Sobek, or was it believed that the priests themselves could draw upon the divine power of the crocodile? The use of crocodiles in religious rituals raises another fascinating question. Were these creatures in some instances kept for sacrificial purposes? While there is little direct evidence to support the notion of human or animal sacrifice associated with crocodiles, the idea of ritualistic offerings, including the possible sacrifice of animals, was deeply ingrained in Egyptian culture. Given that crocodiles were often given lavish treatment and were integral to sacred ceremonies, could it be that they were sometimes sacrificed in the name of Sobek to ensure the continued favour of the gods? Moreover, archaeological excavations at the ancient crocodile necropolis at Kombo, another significant site dedicated to Sobek, have uncovered a wealth of crocodile mummies preserved in the same way that human mummies were. These mummies were carefully wrapped, sometimes in linen, and entombed in elaborate burial structures. The presence of these crocodile mummies suggests that the sacred crocodiles were seen not just as living embodiments of the gods, but as beings who would need to be honoured and provided for in the afterlife. The practice of mummifying sacred animals was not unique to crocodiles. Cats, ibises, and other animals were also mummified. Yet, the sheer number of crocodile mummies found in these sacred spaces speaks to the importance of the crocodile in ancient Egyptian spirituality and ritual. As we look at the sacred crocodile and its role in ancient Egyptian culture, we are left with many lingering questions. What did these rituals truly entail? Did the Egyptians believe that the crocodiles themselves possessed some form of divine consciousness? Or were they simply symbolic representations of the god Sobek? How much of this sacred practice was tied to the broader concepts of life, death, and rebirth? And how much of it was a reflection of the practical necessity of ensuring the fertility of the Nile and its crops? What we can say for certain is that the sacred crocodile was not merely an animal in ancient Egypt, it was a symbol, a powerful creature, whose presence was intimately tied to the spiritual and physical well-being of the people. The rituals associated with it are some of the most mysterious aspects of Egyptian religious life, and they continue to fascinate and intrigue archaeologists and historians today. So, as we reflect on the legacy of the sacred crocodile, we are reminded that the mysteries of ancient Egypt are far from being fully understood. What other secrets remain buried within the temples and tombs of Egypt, waiting for discovery? What truths about ancient rituals and spiritual practices might still be hidden, locked away in the sands of time, waiting for us to uncover? The answers may still be out there, and as with so many of Egypt's enduring mysteries, they may one day reveal themselves when we least expect it. As we journey deeper into the enigma of ancient Egypt, one area that continues to elude a definitive understanding is the remarkable array of weapons and military technologies employed by the pharaohs. These weapons, though often overshadowed by the grandeur of Egypt's monuments and art, are key to understanding the civilization's strategic genius and its ability to dominate much of the ancient world for millennia. What is truly fascinating, however, is the question of whether some of these ancient Egyptian weapons were precursors to the kinds of military technologies we see today. Were the Egyptians often regarded for their genius in many fields, on the cusp of an era of warfare that might have been far more advanced than their time? One of the most iconic yet mysterious pieces of ancient Egyptian weaponry is the khopesh, a sickle sword that combines the functionality of a curved blade with the power of a cutting weapon. It is thought to have originated around 1500 BCE, CE, during the New Kingdom, and it was a symbol of royal authority wielded by the pharaohs and their elite warriors. The kopis was not just a weapon of battle, but also a ceremonial symbol, often appearing in tombs and other ritualistic settings. Its distinct shape, part hook, part sword, made it uniquely suited for both slashing and hooking an enemy's shield or weapon, a feature that is particularly fascinating when considering modern melee combat. The kopis's design reflects a certain level of sophistication, blending both practicality and artistry in a way that is typically expected of ancient Egyptian craftsmen. It is speculated that its use in battle could have allowed soldiers to disarm opponents, or pull them into a vulnerable position, making it a highly effective weapon in close quarters combat. But what remains unclear is whether the Egyptians were simply adept at using what was available, or if they had an insight into the mechanics of warfare that pushed the boundaries of their time. While the kopis is perhaps the most famous, it is only the tip of the iceberg. The Egyptians were also known for their use of bows and arrows, which, though primitive by modern standards, were highly effective. What is striking about these weapons, however, is the meticulous care with which they were crafted. Egyptian archers, particularly during the New Kingdom, were highly trained and often depicted as elite warriors. The bow itself evolved over time, with newer models being longer and more powerful, allowing for a greater range and precision. Some of the finest examples of these bows, often made from wood and animal horn, have been found in tombs and burial sites. These bows, like the kopis, suggest that the Egyptians possessed a deep understanding of the physics of weaponry, long before the development of modern firearms. But there's something else, something far more mysterious that calls into question the true nature of Egyptian military advancements. Throughout the ancient Egyptian world, there are references to weaponry that seems oddly ahead of its time. Some texts and depictions suggest the use of what could only be described as early forms of siege weaponry, or even devices that hint at early gunpowder-based technology. Could these references be the result of misinterpretation? Or was there in fact a knowledge of explosive devices, advanced projectile systems, or other such innovations in ancient Egypt? And if so, what kind of warfare did the Egyptians truly engage in? One particularly perplexing reference comes from the Temple of Karnak, where inscriptions suggest the use of fire-breathing weapons. These fire weapons were described as being capable of unleashing a stream of flame, a capability that sounds eerily similar to modern-day flamethrowers. The idea of using flame as a weapon is not new. Ancient cultures from around the world have been known to use various forms of fire-based warfare, but the Egyptians' association with it raises an intriguing possibility. Could the ancient Egyptians have developed an early form of pyrotechnic weaponry? There is no concrete evidence to support this claim, but it continues to fascinate those who study ancient military history. Furthermore, there are intriguing depictions on the walls of Luxor and Abydos that appear to show pharaohs wielding weapons of strange design, some of which resemble devices that could be perceived as futuristic by modern eyes. These objects, often described as beam weapons or energy-based tools, have sparked many debates. Some believe they are merely symbolic depictions of divine power, while others speculate that these drawings could be the result of contact with advanced technologies, perhaps even extraterrestrial influences. It's important to approach such theories with caution, but the sheer volume of unexplained imagery in Egyptian art warrants further investigation. The Egyptian focus on the divine nature of their rulers and their military prowess often led to the exaggeration of weapons and technologies in artistic portrayals. But are these depictions so fantastical that they might actually be hinting at technologies that we have yet to fully comprehend? Moreover, the mysterious war chariots used by the Egyptians during their conquest of neighbouring regions are another key area where ancient Egyptian military expertise defies explanation. These chariots, which became a central component of Egyptian warfare during the New Kingdom, were remarkably advanced for their time. The chariot's light and fast-moving design, along with the high level of coordination required to operate it effectively, suggests a strategic understanding of battle tactics that went far beyond mere combat. Some scholars have even speculated that the chariot technology developed by the Egyptians was influenced by unknown innovations or foreign sources. Could they have had access to military technology from distant lands, or perhaps even otherworldly forces? The Egyptians were also known for their incredible fortifications, which were in many ways the earliest examples of what we now recognize as defensive military architecture. The famous fortress of Buhan is one such structure strategically placed to guard against incursions from Nubia. The walls of this fortress were built with remarkable precision, and the layout of the complex suggests a deep understanding of military defense tactics. The use of advanced engineering techniques, including the manipulation of terrain to create natural barriers, shows that the Egyptians were not only skilled in battle, but also in creating environments that could withstand siege. All of these innovations, the sickle sword, the advanced bows and arrows, the possible use of fire and explosives, the chariots and the fortifications, invite us to reconsider the military prowess of the ancient Egyptians. Did they possess knowledge of warfare that was simply ahead of its time? Or is it possible that some of these technologies, whether from experimentation or outside influence, may have been lost over the millennia? In the grand tapestry of Egypt's history, the military achievements of the pharaohs are often overshadowed by their monumental achievements in architecture, religion and art. Yet, as we uncover more and more about the weaponry and strategies that shaped the Egyptian empire, we are left to wonder, were these weapons merely products of their time, or were they the first inklings of technologies that would one day define modern warfare? Could the ancient Egyptians have laid the groundwork for the weapons we now take for granted? And what other secrets might still be hidden in the sands of Egypt, waiting to reveal their full potential? As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt, it becomes increasingly clear that much of their knowledge remains beyond our grasp. Were these weapons truly the precursors to modern military technologies, or were they part of an even greater mystery? One that continues to elude our understanding, buried deep within the rich history of this ancient civilization. The questions remain, and perhaps one day we will uncover the answers. The Temple of Karnak, located on the east bank of the Nile in Luxor, stands as one of Egypt's most awe-inspiring and enigmatic monuments. While it is widely known as a major religious centre dedicated to the worship of the god Amun-Ra, Karnak is far more than just a place of ritual and prayer. It is a site that contains layers of history, mystery and architecture that continue to intrigue archaeologists, historians and visitors alike. With its sprawling complex of temples, pylons, obelisks and sanctuaries, Kan is a testament to the grandeur and power of ancient Egypt. But it's also a place that holds many secrets that have yet to be fully understood. The temple complex covers over 200 acres, making it one of the largest religious sites in the world. At the heart of Karnak lies the Great Temple of Amun-Ra, a monumental structure that took over 1,500 years to complete, with successive pharaohs adding their own contributions to its ever-expanding grandeur. The sheer scale of Karnak is overwhelming. The towering hypostyle hall with its 134 massive columns, each towering up to 69 efyarths, creates a forest of stone that seems almost otherworldly. The columns are covered in intricate carvings and hieroglyphs depicting gods, pharaohs and celestial scenes, while the surrounding pylons, obelisks and statues further reinforce the temple's aura of divine power. Yet amid the awe-inspiring beauty of Karnak, there is something undeniably mysterious about the site. While it is clear that the temple was a centre of religious activity, used for grand ceremonies and offerings to the gods, there are aspects of Karnak that suggest a far deeper and more complex purpose, one that might go beyond mere religious worship. Was Karnak simply a temple, or did it serve other more hidden roles in the life of ancient Egypt? Some scholars have suggested that the temple could have functioned as a centre of advanced knowledge, potentially even a repository of lost technologies, some of which we have yet to fully comprehend. One of the most perplexing aspects of Karnak is the alignment of its structures. The temples, halls and obelisks are all carefully oriented along precise, astronomical lines, with many structures aligning with the movement of the sun, stars and planets. This kind of astronomical precision is not unique to Karnak. Many other Egyptian monuments share similar alignments, but the level of detail and planning involved in the construction of Karnak suggests that its builders may have had a deeper understanding of the cosmos than we initially assumed. Some have speculated that the ancient Egyptians were not just observing the heavens for religious or agricultural purposes, but were perhaps engaging in a more complex form of celestial observation, one that may have involved advanced mathematical and astronomical knowledge. For example, the Great Temple of Amun-Ra is aligned with the solstices, particularly the winter solstice, when the sun rises directly over the temple's entrance. This kind of solar alignment was common in many ancient Egyptian temples, but the precision with which the ancient Egyptians were able to achieve such alignments raises intriguing questions. Could the Egyptians have been using these astronomical markers for purposes beyond religious symbolism? Some have suggested that the alignment could have been part of a larger system of astronomical mapping, possibly linked to other ancient cultures that also seem to possess an uncanny understanding of the cosmos. Moreover, there are the obelisks at Karnak, which have long intrigued researchers. The obelisks were often seen as symbols of the sun god Ra, their tall, narrow shapes resembling rays of sunlight reaching up to the heavens. The purpose of these obelisks is relatively well understood in terms of their religious significance, but their construction presents a different mystery. The sheer size and weight of the obelisks, some of which weigh over 300 tons, raise questions about how the Egyptians could have transported and erected such massive stones, with the tools and technology available to them at the time. The methods used to create and install the obelisks remain a subject of debate. Were they carved from a single piece of stone? And if so, how were they moved and raised into place? Theories abound, from the use of massive ramps to hydraulic lifting techniques, but no definitive explanation has been found. Were these obelisks part of a more advanced engineering technique that has been lost to history? And then there is the mysterious sacred lake at Karnak, an artificial body of water that lies in front of the temple. This large rectangular pool was used for ritual purification, but its purpose may have extended beyond just ceremonial use. Some have suggested that the sacred lake was part of a larger system of hydraulic engineering, potentially even used to regulate water for the temple or surrounding city. But what remains most puzzling about the lake is its connection to ancient Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. Water was believed to be a sacred element that connected the living world with the divine, and the sacred lake could have symbolized a boundary between the physical world and the realm of the gods. Was the lake also a metaphor for the soul's journey through the afterlife? Or could it have had some practical function that we have yet to discover? Beyond the structures themselves, the hieroglyphs found at Karnak offer another glimpse into the mysteries of the temple. Some of the inscriptions seem to reference lost knowledge and technologies, suggesting that the Egyptians were aware of concepts that go beyond what we typically associate with their civilization. There are hieroglyphs that appear to describe processes of alchemy, complex mathematics, and even elements that resemble modern-day engineering principles. Could these writings be symbolic, or were they documenting real knowledge that was passed down through the generations? If so, where did this knowledge come from, and why has it been lost to history? One of the most intriguing aspects of Karnak is its role as the Temple of the Kings. Throughout Egyptian history, many pharaohs chose to build, expand, and enhance the temple, leaving behind a kind of architectural legacy that tells the story of Egypt's rulers. But the sheer scale of the temple and the meticulous planning behind its construction suggests that it was not just a religious site, it was a centre of power and influence, a place where kings could assert their divine right to rule. Yet, could there have been more to Karnak's role in the Egyptian state? Was the temple also a centre for political or military strategy hidden beneath the religious facade? As we examine Karnak, one cannot help but wonder about the deeper forces at play in its design. Was this monumental site merely a place of worship, or was it a repository of ancient knowledge carefully designed to align with the heavens, harness hidden technologies, and project the power of the pharaohs? The precision with which it was constructed, the enigmatic symbolism of its structures, and the strange references to advanced technologies in its inscriptions suggest that Karnak may hold secrets that we are only beginning to uncover. What if Karnak was more than just a temple? What if it was a place where the ancient Egyptians sought to bridge the gap between the physical and divine worlds, using knowledge and techniques that we have yet to fully understand? Could there have been deeper, more sophisticated purposes behind its construction? And what knowledge has been lost through the millennia? The mysteries of Karnak remain just as enigmatic today as they were when it was first built. And as we continue to explore the temple's depths, we are left to wonder what other secrets lie hidden in the stone, beneath the columns, and in the sacred halls of this ancient Egyptian wonder. As the sun sets over the Nile, casting its golden light on the ruins of ancient Egypt, one artifact continues to bridge the chasm between modern understanding and the ancient world, the Rosetta Stone. Though its primary role in deciphering hieroglyphics is well known, there lies an even deeper mystery hidden within this remarkable relic, one that remains largely forgotten. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799 by French soldiers near the town of Rosetta, Rashid, is more than just a linguistic key. Its enigmatic origins, the circumstances of its creation, and the deeper secrets it might still hold provoke a level of intrigue that stretches far beyond language alone. The stone itself is a black basalt slab, measuring just under 4 f tall and over 2 f wide, inscribed with a decree issued in 196 BCE by the priests of Memphis. What makes this stone extraordinary beyond its sheer size and weight is that it is inscribed in 3 scripts: Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic. The Greek inscription is well understood thanks to the flourishing Greco-Roman culture of the time and was the key that allowed scholars to finally crack the code of hieroglyphics. But despite the monumental success of this linguistic breakthrough, few realise that the Rosetta Stone may also contain something far more elusive, perhaps something that was never meant to be discovered, an unspoken message encoded in its very structure. The story of the Rosetta Stone's discovery has become somewhat mythologized. Napoleon's soldiers uncovered it during the French campaign in Egypt, and it was eventually handed over to the British after their victory in 1801. The stone was transported to England, where it was placed in the British Museum, where it remains today, one of the most visited and revered objects in the world. Its decipherment, thanks to the work of scholars like Jean-François Champollion, was a monumental achievement, unlocking the secrets of a lost civilization. But what if there is more to the Rosetta Stone than we have yet uncovered? Could there be hidden elements within its inscriptions that have gone unnoticed for centuries? To understand the significance of this possibility, we must first consider the context in which the Rosetta Stone was created. It was commissioned during the reign of Tamithif, a young pharaoh who came to the throne in a time of political upheaval. Egypt at the time was under the control of the Greek King Ptolemaic dynasty, which had been established after the death of Alexander the Great. The decree inscribed on the stone was issued in 3 scripts to ensure that the message would be understood by all relevant parties: the Greek elite, the native Egyptian priests, and the common people. The stone in this sense was both a legal document and a tool of power, solidifying the Ptolemaic dynasty's control over Egypt, while ensuring that the state's religious institutions were placated. Yet, as modern scholars have pointed out, the stone is not simply a decree. It is a hybrid artifact merging Greek, Egyptian, and even foreign ideologies. Its dual nature, legal and religious, suggests that it may have been designed to serve multiple functions, not just as a communication tool, but perhaps as a symbolic object meant to unite diverse peoples and philosophers under the rule of the Ptolemies. The very choice of script is telling. Hieroglyphics associated with the divine and the eternal would have resonated with the Egyptian population, while demotic, a more common form of Egyptian writing, would have been understood by everyday people. Meanwhile, the Greek script was primarily used by the ruling class, demonstrating the complicated, multi-layered nature of Egypt under Greek rule. But what if the stone's creators intended to communicate something far deeper through the inscriptions, perhaps even encoding hidden knowledge? The position of the texts on the stone is highly significant. Each of the 3 inscriptions is arranged in a deliberate pattern, with the Greek text at the bottom followed by the Decadic in the middle and the hieroglyphic script on top. This structure is not merely a linguistic arrangement. It could be seen as a deliberate design meant to convey a deeper meaning, one that transcends the boundaries of language and enters the realm of symbolism and metaphysics. There are theories that suggest the arrangement of the text on the Rosetta Stone may encode sacred geometry or hidden astronomical knowledge. Could the order and alignment of the inscriptions reflect an ancient understanding of cosmic cycles, or even a secret system of mathematical proportions tied to the movement of the stars? Some researchers have speculated that the Greeks, known for their advanced understanding of astronomy, may have collaborated with Egyptian priests who were well versed in esoteric knowledge. Is it possible that the Greek text, which was so easy for scholars to translate, was designed as a kind of mask, hiding a more profound message beneath the surface? One of the most intriguing aspects of the Rosetta Stone is its relationship to the Egyptian priesthood. The fact that the decree on the stone was issued by priests is not insignificant. The priests of Memphis held vast knowledge not just of religious rituals, but of complex systems such as astronomy, alchemy, and mathematics. It is not entirely outside the realm of possibility that the inscriptions on the Rosetta Stone contain veiled references to these disciplines, encoded in a way that would be understood only by those initiated into the highest levels of Egyptian knowledge. If this theory holds any weight, The Rosetta Stone might not only serve as a tool for the translation of ancient texts, but could also contain ancient secrets. Secrets that, for reasons lost to time, were carefully concealed within a public legal document. Additionally, there are symbolic elements of the stone itself that suggest it may have been designed for ritualistic purposes. The shape of the stone, its physical presence, and its inscriptions were likely meant to serve as a spiritual object rather than merely a bureaucratic one. Some scholars have noted that the inscriptions on the stone seem to reflect the cycle of life, death, and rebirth that was so central to ancient Egyptian belief, suggesting that the stone could have been part of a larger ritualistic tradition, perhaps related to the worship of gods like Osiris and Amun-Ra. Could this artifact in some way be tied to ancient Egyptian mystery schools or secret religious practices? The stone's very discovery and subsequent translation offer a further layer of intrigue. It was found amidst the ruins of ancient Egypt, where the sands of time had preserved a record of the country's cultural and spiritual heritage. But how much of that heritage has truly been revealed? While the linguistic breakthrough provided by the Rosetta Stone has been invaluable in understanding the ancient Egyptian language, has it also obscured other forms of knowledge embedded within the text? What secrets might have been lost or even deliberately concealed beneath the surface of the stone's translation? As the Rosetta Stone continues to be studied and analysed, one thing remains clear. It is far more than a simple tool for understanding language. Its secrets, hidden in plain sight, may still have much to reveal. What lies beneath the surface of this seemingly straightforward artifact? Is it possible that even after centuries of study, we have only scratched the surface of its true significance? The mysteries of the Rosetta Stone remain, inviting us to look deeper and question what we think we know about ancient Egypt and the knowledge it sought to preserve. As the sun sets over the ancient Egyptian desert, casting long shadows across the horizon, one of Egypt's most enigmatic sights rises from the sand, the Temple of Abydos. Nestled along the western bank of the Nile, the temple has long been revered as one of the most sacred places in Egypt, a site dedicated to the god Osiris, the ruler of the afterlife. It is here in the heart of this vast and intricate complex that some of the greatest mysteries of ancient Egypt lie waiting to be unravelled. Abydos is more than just a temple. It is a place where the line between myth and reality blurs, where the past continues to speak to us through its carved walls, hidden chambers, and curious artifacts. And within its walls, some of Egypt's most perplexing riddles remain unsolved. The temple's structure, which dates back to the reign of Pharaoh Seti I, is awe-inspiring in both its design and scale. With towering walls covered in finely detailed reliefs, the temple was originally built to honour Osiris and ensure the continued favour of the gods. It is not just a physical structure, but a spiritual one intricately designed to represent the journey of the soul in the afterlife and to commemorate the divine kingship of pharaohs. The site is often regarded as a gateway to the afterlife, and its architecture reflects the Egyptians' deep understanding of life, death, and the cosmos. But within this architectural marvel, there are features that continue to puzzle scholars and visitors alike. Features that suggest there is much more to Abydos than meets the eye. One of the most famous and mysterious elements of the Temple of Abydos is the so-called Abydos aircraft, a series of strange carvings found in the temple's osarion. These carvings, which seem to depict what look like helicopters, airplanes, and even a submarine, have sparked intense debate and speculation. How could these depictions appear on a temple that dates back to the 13th century BCE, centuries before modern technology? Skeptics argue that the carvings are simply the result of artistic interpretation, a reflection of the Egyptian symbolic use of shape and form, but the resemblance to modern-day machines is undeniable. Are these carvings evidence of a lost technology, perhaps far more advanced than anything we associate with ancient Egypt? Or are they simply an artistic representation of something else entirely? Despite the mystery surrounding the Abydos aircraft, the carvings raise an even more profound question. What was the true nature of the relationship between the priests of Osiris and the divine? The temple itself was dedicated to a god who ruled the afterlife, a god whose mysteries and rituals were hidden even from the general populace. Could the strange carvings in the temple be connected to a mystical understanding of the universe, one that extended beyond the bounds of earthly existence? Some have suggested that the carvings represent a hidden knowledge passed down through secret priesthoods, knowledge that might have been encoded into the walls of the temple, waiting to be rediscovered by those with the right eyes to see it. But the Abydos mystery goes far beyond these strange depictions. The temple complex itself is home to a number of cryptic symbols and hidden passages that seem to be deliberately concealed, as though they were meant to remain secret. Some researchers have noted the unusual placement of certain reliefs and texts within the temple as if they were meant to convey a hidden message, perhaps even a message meant for a select few. The layout of the temple is itself a riddle, with certain chambers and halls appearing to align with the stars or other celestial bodies. Were these alignments part of a larger ritual system, perhaps designed to connect the physical world with the divine? Or do these alignments serve a deeper, more mysterious purpose, one that has yet to be understood? The Osiris, a structure located just beneath the main temple, offers another intriguing element of the Abydos mystery. This underground temple, thought to be the burial place of Osiris himself, is shrouded in symbolism. The Osiris was designed to be a symbolic representation of the tomb of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The use of water, the alignment of the structure, and the hidden chambers all suggest that this was a place of deep ritual significance, a site where the boundary between life and death, the material and spiritual, was blurred. The layout of the opera has been linked to the ancient Egyptian idea of rebirth, a concept that pervades much of Egyptian mythology. But what is truly puzzling is the fact that this structure, though clearly important, remains largely unexplored and unstudied by modern archaeologists. What might lie hidden beneath the sand, waiting to be discovered? One of the most intriguing aspects of Abydos is its connection to the Pharaohs. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul of the king would merge with that of Osiris in the afterlife, ensuring his continued rule over both the living and the dead. Pharaohs often chose Abydos as their burial site, and many of the tombs here are thought to have been linked to the royal family. But one of the most perplexing features of Abydos is the discovery of a number of unexplained tombs, some of which appear to have been hidden or deliberately sealed off. Could these tombs be linked to lost pharaohs, kings who ruled at the edges of Egypt's power but were deliberately erased from history? Or could they contain the tombs of pharaohs who were never meant to be found, buried in secret to prevent any rival claimants to the throne? The mysterious inscriptions found at Abydos also add to the intrigue. The temple is home to a number of carvings and texts that reference individuals, events, and beliefs that are not found in any other known records. These unusual inscriptions, some of which are thought to be related to royal rituals or secret ceremonies, suggest that the temple may have been a place of esoteric knowledge, a centre where only the most initiated priests and pharaohs could enter. But why were these rituals so secret? And why have so many of the texts been lost or deliberately hidden from the public eye? Another unsolved riddle at Abydos involves the mysterious Abydos King List, a relief that lists the names of past pharaohs. While most of the names are easily recognisable, there are a number of rulers on the list who are not found in any other historical records. Some of these names have been erased or defaced, while others seem to be part of a broader narrative that contradicts other known records of Egypt's dynastic history. Why were these pharaohs erased from history? And who were they really? As we stand before the ruins of Abydos, surrounded by its towering walls and faded reliefs, the questions only multiply. Was the temple simply a religious centre? Or was it a repository of lost knowledge carefully hidden away from the world? Were the strange symbols, hidden chambers, and mysterious carvings part of a deeper ritualistic system? Or were they a deliberate attempt to conceal secrets that the ancient Egyptians did not want future generations to uncover? With each new discovery, Abydos reveals just enough to spark further curiosity, but not enough to provide answers. The temple stands as a testament to the ancient Egyptians' understanding of the cosmos of life and death and the afterlife, but it also reminds us of how much remains to be understood. The riddles of Abydos are as intricate and timeless as the sands that surround it. What secrets still lie hidden in this sacred place, waiting for those with the knowledge, the tools, or perhaps the right eyes to uncover them? The mystery continues and the unanswered questions remain, inviting us to look closer and wonder what might still be waiting to be found. The unfinished obelisk of Aswan stands as a silent testament to both the grandeur and the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Located in the quarries of Aswan in the southern part of Egypt, this massive monolithic structure offers us a glimpse into the ambitious scope of the ancient Egyptian builders. Yet despite the monumental effort involved in its creation, the obelisk is incomplete. Cracked and abandoned before it could be fully realised, it remains today a striking enigma. What caused this towering monument to be left behind? Why was such an enormous effort suspended in time never to be finished? As we approach the site, the massive stone lies half-formed embedded within the quarry bed. At its base, rough hinged edges jut out from the solid rock, and the scarred surface tells a story of a project that was interrupted. Its size, measuring over 41 meters long, would have made it the largest obelisk ever attempted, towering far above any that were successfully erected across Egypt. The stone still bears the telltale marks of ancient tools used to shape it. Grooves, lines, and scars that suggest a process of carving that was painstakingly precise. The surface reveals patterns of wear, indicating that the workers of the time were well versed in their craft. But why was this particular obelisk left unfinished? According to most mainstream explanations, the obelisk was likely abandoned due to a fatal flaw in the rock. Cracks appeared in the stone as it was being carved, compromising its integrity. In ancient Egypt, a defect of this scale would have been unacceptable for a structure meant to be both symbolic and practical. The obelisk was simply abandoned, and the workers moved on to other projects. This would be consistent with the Egyptians' precise and deliberate approach to their architecture. Each monument was meant to convey the power of the pharaoh and the gods, and anything less than perfection would have been deemed unsuitable. Yet, even with this seemingly straightforward explanation, there are still elements of the unfinished obelisk that raise questions. For example, the very size and scale of the project seems out of proportion with the needs of the time. The Egyptians had already mastered the art of quarrying and shaping massive stones. Yet the size of this obelisk was beyond what they had done before. Why attempt such an ambitious project at all? Was it a symbolic gesture to demonstrate the divine power of the king? Or was it something more? Perhaps a mystical or spiritual attempt to connect with the gods on a larger scale. Some have suggested that the obelisk was an early prototype of a new kind of structure, one that would symbolize the kingdom's power and technological advancement. Yet, if the obelisk was truly meant to be the largest in Egyptian history, why did the craftsman abandon it so abruptly? Was the crack simply a convenient excuse to stop work, or was there something more to the story? Another intriguing aspect of the unfinished obelisk is its sheer size. The Egyptians were no strangers to large-scale architecture. After all, they erected the Great Pyramids and countless obelisks across the land. But the obelisk at Aswan seems almost too ambitious, particularly when you consider the fact that many of the most famous obelisks were not much larger than half this size. Was there a specific reason that the builders of Aswan attempted to craft such a towering monument? Some have speculated that this obelisk was meant to surpass all others, marking the beginning of an era of unparalleled Egyptian dominance. Perhaps it was intended to be placed in the heart of the capital, Thebes, as a statement of divine and royal power. This scale and the ambition behind it leads to a more speculative line of questioning. Could there have been something else behind the creation of this particular obelisk? Something more than just a king's desire for grandeur? Ancient Egypt was a culture deeply attuned to astrology, cosmology, and the mystical alignment of the heavens with the earth. Could the obelisk have been part of a ritualistic alignment, perhaps designed to channel the energies of the cosmos? There are those who argue that certain monumental projects like the Great Pyramids were not just architectural feats, but were aligned with the stars, specifically the constellations that the Egyptians considered sacred. Could the obelisk at Aswan have been part of such a celestial alignment? If it was intended to be the largest of its kind, was it meant to reach for the heavens in a literal and symbolic sense? The question of why the unfinished obelisk of Aswan remains incomplete is further complicated by the mystery of its unfinished state. The stone was not simply abandoned with a few basic tools left behind. It seems as though the workmen left in a hurry. Roughly hung and unpolished, the obelisk was left in a state that implies no further work was done to refine it. But why would they have left it so abruptly? Why not complete the task with the usual care and precision that we associate with Egyptian monuments? Some have even suggested that the abandonment was intentional, linked to a change in leadership or a shift in the kingdom's priorities. Was this colossal project simply too much for the builders, or was there a deeper unspoken reason for its abandonment? Beyond the conventional explanations, there are even more unusual theories. Some believe that the obelisk was left unfinished because the builders were interrupted by foreign invaders, or an unexpected disaster such as a natural catastrophe, or even a mass illness. After all, the ancient Egyptians lived through periods of upheaval when the power of the pharaohs was weakened or challenged by internal or external forces. Did something beyond the craftsman's control halt the progress of the obelisk? Another theory posits that the unfinished obelisk was left in such a state on purpose as part of a spiritual process. It is known that the ancient Egyptians had a profound respect for the idea of imperfection in their sacred spaces. Could the obelisk's unfinished nature have been symbolic? In a world where perfection was often equated with the divine, could the obelisk's incomplete state represent the flaws of humanity? The recognition that nothing in the material world can ever truly be perfect. As we stand before the unfinished obelisk of Aswan, gazing at the massive stone embedded in the earth, we are left with more questions than answers. What happened to the craftsman who began the work? What was the true purpose of the obelisk? Was it simply a royal commission gone marry? Or was there something deeper? Some divine or cosmic purpose that led to its abandonment? The obelisk remains not as a symbol of Egypt's greatness, but as a reminder of a dream unfulfilled, a project left unfinished. Perhaps the answers lie hidden in the layers of time, waiting for a future generation to uncover the secrets of this giant stone. But for now, as we stand in its shadow, we are left to wonder what mysteries did the builders of the unfinished obelisk of Aswan carry with them, and what secrets does the stone still hold beneath its surface? The stone, like so many ancient mysteries, continues to silently beckon us to seek answers. The Egyptian hieratic code, a system of writing used primarily by priests and scribes in ancient Egypt, remains one of the most enigmatic aspects of Egyptian culture. Found primarily in religious texts, inscriptions on temples and tombs, the hieratic script is an ancient shorthand version of the hieroglyphic writing system. While much has been understood about the more formal hieroglyphic script, the hieratic script hides more than just words. It conceals a deeper layer of mysteries that continue to elude modern scholars. What truths do these carefully etched symbols reveal about the spiritual and political systems of ancient Egypt? And why after millennia does the hieratic code remain so elusive? The hieratic script, often written on papyrus or carved into stone, was used for everything from religious texts to official decrees. Its role in the preservation of ancient Egyptian spiritual knowledge cannot be overstated. Many of Egypt's sacred texts, including the pyramid texts, the coffin texts, and even some of the Book of the Dead variants, were first written in hieratic before being adapted into the more familiar hieroglyphic system. As a result, these texts are among the most significant sources of ancient Egyptian thought, laying bare the complex relationship between the divine and the mortal world, as well as the intricacies of the afterlife. Yet, despite its historical importance, much of the content encoded in the hieratic script remains a mystery. For centuries, scholars and linguists have studied the texts, attempting to uncover the secrets hidden in the script. However, there are parts of the code that have proved resistant to translation, even with our modern understanding of ancient Egyptian language. Why? What do these texts contain that continues to frustrate the attempts of even the most skilled Egyptologists? In the heart of the Temple of Karnak, in the shadow of Egypt's most famous monuments, the hieratic inscriptions on the walls whisper of secrets lost to time. The script, with its fluid strokes and abbreviated forms, was perfect for quick, efficient writing, but in doing so it may have encoded much more than simple messages. Some scholars propose that the priests, the primary users of the hieratic script, were not only scribes, but custodians of sacred occult knowledge. Did they use this writing system to encode hidden truths about Egypt's spiritual practices, the mysteries of the gods, or perhaps even knowledge that was considered too dangerous to be publicly known? One of the most compelling theories surrounding the hieratic code relates to the nature of divine knowledge. In an ancient Egypt, knowledge of the gods was considered to be a powerful force, one that could shape the world itself. The priests, as intermediaries between the gods and the people, wielded an influence that was both profound and mysterious. They guarded rituals, spells, and ritualistic language that were believed to hold the power to invoke divine favour or wrath. Was the hieratic script a tool used to hide these rituals from prying eyes? Could it be that the code contained secrets not only about religion, but also about forbidden knowledge preserved for the initiated few? To fully understand the mysteries hidden in the hieratic code, one must first look at the context in which it was used. The Egyptian priests were known for their meticulous care in documenting religious events, from offerings to the gods to elaborate rituals designed to ensure a safe passage to the afterlife. Writing was not just a means of communication, it was ritualistic in itself, acting as a form of invocation. Words written in hieratic were believed to carry a certain magical power, a force that could influence the world. The texts that survive from ancient Egypt reveal a civilization obsessed with the afterlife, immortality, and divine judgment. But could the hieratic code hold esoteric secrets that went beyond the official stories of gods, kings, and temples? Among the religious texts, we find references to gods and rituals that challenge our understanding of Egyptian religious beliefs. For example, the Book of the Dead is one of the most famous texts associated with the afterlife. But there are many versions of this text, each encoded with different layers of meaning, some of which remain undeciphered. Could the hieratic version of these texts hold key information that might change the way we view Egypt's spiritual world? Some researchers speculate that the hieratic script was used to encode alternative narratives, versions of Egypt's history, gods, and rulers that were hidden from the general public. The pharaoh, after all, was not just a king, but a divine being whose knowledge was considered sacred and not to be shared with commoners. The priests who were trained in the secret arts of reading and writing hieratic may have used the script to preserve alternative mythologies or cosmological theories that were deemed too powerful or dangerous for the uninitiated. Could there have been secret doctrines passed down through the generations that challenged the official narratives of the gods and the kings? The mystery deepens when we consider that many hieratic texts were ritualistic in nature and were not meant to be read in a straightforward manner. Ancient Egyptian religious practice was highly symbolic, and words were often imbued with layers of meaning. The hieratic script with its shorthand style may have been deliberately designed to be cryptic, allowing only those with the proper knowledge to understand the deeper layers of the text. In this sense, the hieratic code could be seen as a kind of spiritual encryption, encoding divine wisdom that was only accessible to the highest echelon of priests and initiates. Could this system have contained hidden knowledge about the gods, the nature of the universe, or even advanced scientific knowledge? One particularly tantalizing theory suggests that the hieratic code might have been used to record astronomical data encoded in a way that was accessible only to those trained in the mysteries of the stars. Ancient Egyptians were known for their deep understanding of astronomy and mathematics, and it is possible that the hieratic script was used to record astronomical alignments, celestial cycles, or even predictions about the future. Could these texts hold the key to understanding ancient Egypt's relationship with the cosmos, or perhaps even provide evidence of ancient knowledge of cosmic events that we have long forgotten? Another fascinating aspect of the hieratic code is its connection to the Egyptian gods of writing like Thi, the god of wisdom and writing, and Sehat, the goddess of records. These deities were said to be responsible for recording all knowledge and history, acting as intermediaries between the divine and the human realms. Could the hieratic script in its secretive layered complexity represent the will of these gods, a divine code, a language that could only be comprehended by the initiated? If so, what was their purpose in encoding this information? And what, if anything, do we still have yet to uncover? The unanswered questions surrounding the Egyptian hieratic code are endless. Could the hieratic text contain secrets about the origins of Egyptian civilization, hidden knowledge that could alter the way we view ancient Egypt's rise and its eventual collapse? Were the priests of Egypt safeguarding knowledge that was too dangerous for the masses, knowledge that could have given them control over life and death, the heavens and the earth? What might we discover if we're able to decode more of these mysterious texts? The hieratic code, still largely locked away, challenges us to keep searching, to peel back the layers of time and uncover the ancient wisdom that lies hidden in its strange flowing symbols. As we stand on the edge of this mystery, we can only wonder what secrets does the Egyptian hieratic code still hold, waiting to be revealed? What profound truths might it contain about the ancient Egyptians' view of the world, the gods, and their place in the cosmos? The more we learn, the more we realize just how much we have yet to understand. The past, it seems, is not finished with us yet. The obelisks of Karnak stand as towering testaments to ancient Egypt's grandeur and mystery, their weathered surfaces etched with symbols that have survived for millennia. Yet, beyond their imposing size and beauty, these monumental structures hold secrets that continue to defy explanation. The Temple of Karnak, located on the east bank of the Nile at Luxor, is one of Egypt's most iconic archaeological sites, housing several of these towering obelisks. As we stand before them, we are left to wonder, what do these strange symbols carved into the stone truly mean? And what was the purpose of these magnificent yet enigmatic structures? The Karnak obelisks were not merely decorative. They were powerful symbols of divine power and royal authority erected by the pharaohs to honour the gods and assert their might. Each obelisk is made of a single block of stone, often granite, and is adorned with hieroglyphs that commemorate the achievements of the reigning king. Standing at over 70 sef tall, they are a feat of engineering constructed using techniques that even by today's standards remain impressive. Yet despite their towering presence, there are still significant mysteries surrounding the carvings and symbols that adorn their surfaces. Why are these inscriptions so complex, and what can they tell us about the spiritual significance of the obelisks? As the sun sets over Karnak, casting long shadows across the desert landscape, the obelisks seem to come alive in a way that the sterile daylight cannot capture. Their symbols glimmer faintly, etched into the stone, their true meanings obscured by time. The ancient Egyptians were known for their deep spiritual beliefs, and each symbol on the obelisk was more than just a mark. It was an invocation. These were not simply words or proclamations. They were thought to carry magical power that could influence both the gods and the mortal world. The hieroglyphs on these obelisks are more than just inscriptions. They are part of a ritualistic code, one that may have been intended to protect the pharaohs and ensure their immortality. But what is the deeper significance of these symbols, and why, after centuries of study, do some of them still elude full understanding? One of the most puzzling aspects of the Karnak obelisks is the strange quality of some of the symbols that adorn them. While most of the hieroglyphs are recognizable to Egyptologists, there are others that remain perplexing. Some appear to have been deliberately altered, while others seem to be unusual variants of familiar symbols. Could these discrepancies suggest that there is more to these obelisks than we have yet understood? Some researchers suggest that the obelisks may have encoded secret knowledge, perhaps hidden from the general public, that only the high priests or select elites were meant to decipher. Was there an intention to create a mystical or spiritual code, one that would remain impenetrable to all but the initiated? Interestingly, some of the most intriguing symbols found on the Karnak obelisks are not only associated with the gods of Egypt, but also with astronomical and geometric patterns. The Egyptians were masterful astronomers, and their monuments were often aligned with celestial bodies such as the sun and stars. It is possible that the obelisks were designed not only as symbols of royal power, but also as markers of the heavens, encoded with knowledge of cosmic cycles and celestial events. Some researchers suggest that the obelisks were meant to serve as beacons, guiding the pharaoh's soul on its journey to the afterlife, while others speculate that they could have been used to track the movement of the stars, marking the passage of time in a way that was both spiritual and scientific. Another compelling theory surrounding the obelisks involves their construction techniques. Given their size and weight, it seems unlikely that the ancient Egyptians were able to create such massive monuments with the simple tools that we typically associate with their civilization. Some have suggested that the construction of these obelisks may have involved advanced technology, or even lost techniques, possibly passed down through secret priesthoods or ancient knowledge that has since been lost to history. Could the Egyptians have had access to tools or knowledge that we have yet to uncover? The mystery deepens when we consider that the obelisks were not only erected with incredible precision, but were also perfectly aligned with specific celestial events. The sheer effort involved in moving and erecting these monoliths points to a society that may have had access to ancient engineering secrets that we are only beginning to rediscover. The question of who exactly was responsible for the construction and erection of the obelisks is also a subject of ongoing debate. The names of many pharaohs are carved into the surfaces of the obelisks, but there is no certainty as to whether they were the original creators of the structures, or simply the ones who commissioned their construction. What role did the priests of Karnak play in these monumental efforts? Were they the true masterminds behind the obelisks, or were they merely carrying out the will of the pharaohs? What does the lack of detailed records about the construction process tell us about the nature of Egypt's power structures and the possible secrets that they may have concealed? Adding to the enigma, there are several references in Egyptian mythology that suggest that the obelisks may have held a divine connection to the gods themselves. Some scholars believe that the obelisks were designed to represent the Benben stone, a mythical object that symbolized the primeval mound from which creation began. The Benben stone was associated with the god Ra, the sun god, and was thought to embody the very forces of creation. Could the obelisks of Karnak have been designed to channel these same divine forces? Some even speculate that the obelisks might have served as a channel for cosmic energy, allowing the pharaohs to connect directly with the gods. This would explain the profound significance they held in both the spiritual and political realms of ancient Egypt. Despite centuries of study, there is still much we don't understand about the obelisks of Karnak and the symbols that adorn them. Were they simply monuments of royal power, or were they part of a more elaborate spiritual and astronomical system that we have yet to fully decode? And if so, what do the enigmatic symbols carved into their surfaces really signify? Are they simply royal decrees, or are they the key to unlocking a deeper mystery, a lost history of Egypt that has remained hidden for millennia? As we continue to explore the obelisks of Karnak, we are reminded that these magnificent monuments are not just relics of a bygone civilization. They are mysterious texts etched into the very fabric of time, holding secrets that have yet to be fully revealed. With each new discovery, we inch closer to understanding the true purpose of these towering structures and the symbols that continue to baffle and intrigue us. But for now, the mystery remains, inviting us to look deeper and wonder what might still be hidden within the stone, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. As the sun casts long shadows over the Sahara Desert, the bent pyramid rises from the sand, an imposing yet unfinished monument located in the ancient burial ground of Dashur, about 40 kilometers south of Cairo. This pyramid is one of the most fascinating enigmas of ancient Egypt. Unlike the towering, perfectly angled structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza, the bent pyramid is marked by an abrupt change in its slope, a feature that has led to its enduring mystery. Standing before it, we can't help but wonder what went wrong in the construction of this pyramid. Was it an architectural mistake, or does it hold secrets that have remained buried for millennia? The bent pyramid, built during the reign of Pharaoh Neferu of the 4th dynasty, was intended to be a grand tomb. It was supposed to be the first true pyramid, an advancement over the earlier step pyramids with smooth angled sides that would rise gracefully towards the sky. However, as we look up at its unusual, almost tilted appearance, we are forced to confront the question, why did the architects abandon the pyramid's original design midway through construction? At first glance, the bent pyramid appears to be an impressive achievement, standing 101 meters tall and originally covering an area of over 100 meters across its base. The pyramid's exterior is made of fine limestone, a material that gleams golden under the sun. Yet, its defining feature is the dramatic change in angle halfway up. The lower portion of the pyramid rises at a steep angle of 50 forward, only for the upper portion to sharply change to a more gradual 43 slope. This abrupt transition creates the distinctive bent shape that gives the pyramid its name. It's a design that, while striking, raises immediate questions. Why was this change made? And what does it tell us about the people who built it and about the technology they used? The official explanation for the pyramid's unusual shape is that the builders, after constructing the lower portion at a steep angle, realized that the weight of the structure was becoming too much for the foundation to support. The pyramid, they feared, was at risk of collapse. To counter this, they are thought to have changed the angle of the upper portion to reduce the stress on the structure. This decision was made while construction was still ongoing, leading to the pyramid's odd two-tiered design. But even this explanation raises more questions than it answers. If they knew the initial design was flawed, why did they proceed with construction at all? Were there no other options for reinforcing the structure? And why, after abandoning the steep angle, did they not choose to level the sides altogether rather than create a slanted upper section? Perhaps more curious is the fact that the bent pyramid was never completed. While construction began, the pyramid was left unfinished, with the upper section still bearing the mark of the dramatic angle change. Some archaeologists suggest that the unfinished nature of the pyramid indicates that something went wrong at a higher level, a political upheaval, a shift in leadership, or a change in priorities for the royal court. The timeline of Neferu's reign suggests that there was ample time to complete the pyramid. So why did the project stall? Was it purely an architectural issue, or was there something else at play? As we delve deeper into the mystery, we begin to uncover more tantalizing possibilities. Some theorists speculate that the pyramid's design may have been intended for a purpose beyond the purely practical needs of a royal tomb. Ancient Egypt was a civilization rich with spiritual beliefs, and many of the pyramids built during this period were designed not just to house the body of the pharaoh, but to ensure their immortality in the afterlife. Could the design of the bent pyramid have had a symbolic purpose tied to Egypt's religious or cosmological beliefs? The sharp change in angle might have represented a cosmic alignment or a connection between the earthly realm and the divine. Was the abrupt change in design intentional, perhaps as an effort to channel specific energies or connect the pyramid more closely to the gods? Some have even suggested that the change in angle could represent a symbolic ascent to the heavens, an attempt to bring the deceased closer to the divine realm. Another theory posits that the bent pyramid was a failed experiment in pyramid construction. Neferu, often regarded as a pioneer of pyramid building, might have been experimenting with new techniques, pushing the boundaries of what had been done before. The initial steep angle might have been an ambitious attempt to create a grand, imposing monument, but the realization that the pyramid was structurally unsound led to the mid-course correction. However, unlike many other construction failures in history, this one left behind a monument that remains as a testament to the limits of ancient Egyptian engineering. Could the pyramid have been an architectural trial run, a way of testing new ideas that ultimately led to the more refined designs seen in later pyramids, such as the Red Pyramid, also built by Snaru? Some fringe theories have suggested even more mysterious explanations. A few have speculated that the bent pyramid might have been the result of external interference, possibly even from extraterrestrial sources. Could it be that the pyramid's sudden shift in design was the result of outside influence? Perhaps a force beyond the comprehension of the ancient Egyptians? These ideas, though unsupported by mainstream archaeology, continue to captivate the imagination of those seeking alternative explanations for Egypt's most perplexing structures. Others suggest that the construction techniques used in the bent pyramid might hold the key to understanding its mysteries. The pyramid was built from large blocks of stone, and while some of the construction methods are well understood, others remain shrouded in secrecy. The question of how these massive stones were moved and stacked with such precision has been the subject of much debate. Could the bent pyramid hold clues to lost technologies or construction methods that have been lost to time? Was there something about the tools or methods used in its construction that we have yet to fully comprehend? And what of the architects behind the bent pyramid? We know little about the builders themselves, but their decisions and innovations left an indelible mark on Egypt's architectural legacy. Could their intentions have been misunderstood? Or were they simply caught in a moment of trial and error? What secrets about ancient Egyptian craftsmanship and innovation could still be hidden within the walls of the bent pyramid? As the sun sets over the desert, casting long shadows across the weathered stone, the bent pyramid remains an enduring mystery. It stands as a monument to both the triumphs and failures of ancient Egypt's architectural ambitions. With its unusual design and unfinished state, it raises questions that continue to haunt archaeologists and historians alike. Was it a mistake, a failure, or something more profound? The answers may lie buried beneath the sands, hidden in the stones themselves, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. The bent pyramid beckons us to look deeper, to question the assumptions we have made about Egypt's architectural prowess. Was this simply an unfortunate miscalculation? Or does it point to something more, a deeper understanding of the ancient Egyptian worldview and the challenges they faced in their quest to reach the heavens? The mystery remains unsolved, inviting us to explore, to imagine, and to wonder what secrets still lie hidden within its jagged form.